Yep.
I'll turn it off. Okay.
That's okay. I'm used to being.
Yeah, now it's on.
We're not changing this. We're not changing it.
Sure. Ready? Ready?
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Township of Holmdel's Planning Board meeting.
Call
Call to order.
In accordance with
the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-10, and the regulations governing remote meetings, NJAC 539-1.5, I hereby announce that adequate notice and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in a notice dated January 24th, 2023, that was sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, posted on the bulletin board and on the main access door to Town Hall, filed in the clerk's office, and posted on the township website, www.holmdeltownship.com. Courtney, we do roll call now?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Aquiliano. Mr. Aquiliano is absent. Mr. Ackerson. Mr. Ackerson is absent. Mr. Emma. Mr. Emma is absent. Mr. Fagan.
Here.
Mr. Cassidy.
Here.
Mr. King. Ms. Lamountain. Here. Ms. Pelosis. Ms. Pelosis is absent. Mr. Silberman.
Here.
Ms. Polavina. Ms. Polavina is absent. Ms. O'Connor. Ms. O'Connor is absent.
Okay,
We can all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we can remain standing, have a moment of silence to honor
our military, police, and our first responders.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am sitting in for Joyce tonight, Pelusis, so bear with me on some of the formalities of the meeting. So I'll do my best. Right now, we are dealing with the item number 1, right? Extension of time, item number 1, for 748 Holmdel Road, Maria Frangos and Olga Lefkadadu, Block 36, Lot 3503. Applicant seeks an extension of time for a minor subdivision approval memorialized on March 7, 2023.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Councilwoman, board members, and staff. Peter Licata, the law firm of Son with Mayor and Licata, Freehold, New Jersey, on behalf of the applicants. This application was a 2-lot subdivision, a minor subdivision, has a relatively short period of time to perfect its approval, that being 190 days. We received county planning board approval 1 day after our deadline for the expiration of the 190 days to file the map. The map, or subdivision deed, now has been reviewed. We're going to be completing it with a revised surveyor's description and hopefully be able to file that subdivision deed shortly.
And that's fairly routine.
Yeah.
I mean, as was explained, it's, they unfortunately got the county approval, which is required on a county road, 1 day after that, 190th day. So. Nothing from my end other than that, unless anyone has questions.
Do we open to other questions, or?
You can just have more questions.
Yeah, does anyone on the board have any questions or comments on the application? Nobody?
Okay.
Can anyone make a motion?
I'll move.
Second. Wes.
Ms. Lamountain.
Yes.
Mr. Fagan. Mr. Fagan. Mr. Cassidy.
Yes.
Mr. King. Mr. Silberman.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, we're now going to go to our second item for today, which is PB 2023 Somerset Holmdel Development at 101 Crawfords Corner Road, Block 11, lots 38.03 to 3807. Preliminary and final site plan approval with sign variance. The applicant seeks preliminary and final major site plan approval with variance relief to amend 3 road entrance monument retail signs to digital signage on Bellworks property.
I would just indicate, Scott, we did have a site visit after the last hearing, and prior to maybe Mr. Bruno, starting, I think maybe we should go over the site visit, board comments as to the site visit, as to what was observed, and if there's any comments or discussion about that.
Okay, I was at the site visit. I don't know who else was. We demonstrated the signs. The signs were not installed on where they're supposed to be on the corners. They were installed on the oval or inside the Bellworks property. If I remember correctly, we put on different levels of intensity of light from a certain distance. We took those readings, and I think that's really all we did, just to see the effect or the impact on the light from certain distances at the time. I don't know if anyone on the board has anything to say regarding that meeting.
I think you summed it up pretty well.
Okay.
Likewise, I observed, and it was a good presentation.
Anyone else? Okay. What do we do? Give it.
Open it up now to Mr. Bruno.
Okay, Mr. Bruno's here representing the Bellworks, so
Good evening.
the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Michael Bruno on behalf of Somerset, the applicant and owner of the Bellworks redevelopment project. This is a continuation of the application to revise the entrance signs on Crawford's Corner and Middletown Road to do some helpful advertising for some of the retail and personal service establishments at Bellworks. We were last before you at the June meeting, believe it or not. Subsequent to that time, we did have the site meeting, and the purpose of the site meeting was to show the illumination levels and the ability to reduce those levels to try to address some of the comments and issues that we heard at the last meeting. So we've revised our program for the signs on Crawfords and Middletown Road, and we're about to show you what we're prepared to do based on the reaction that we got from the public and the board at the last meeting, and the ability to dim the lights as the evening progresses. And at some point in the evening, we will then just make it a static light sign, just identifying Bellworks as it's out there today. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Clint Bottini to show us the new updated exhibits, refresh the board as to what we're asking for in terms of signage, and then indicate what levels the signs will be as we progress through the day and obviously into the evening and then at 10 o'clock at night.
So, Mike, was he sworn last time, or was he?
He was,
Okay,
yes.
so, and just for the record, our board professionals were sworn last time and still under oath. Okay, I'm sorry.
Clint, so why don't you just identify yourself and what your relation is to this project to refresh the board and the public as to your background?
Sure. My name is Clint Bottini. I am a partner at Union Design. It is. Testing. Up. My name is Clint Bottini. I am a partner at Union Design in New York City. We've been working with Bellworks for approximately the last 4 years, putting together and carrying on their original master plan and adjusting it with all things pertaining to signage, interior, exterior, etc. So where we left off last time, this is the current design. This is what is on site right now. So we were asked to make a couple of adjustments beyond our design proposal of making an LED.
And Clint, before you go on, just so we have a clear record, let's identify each exhibit that you're scrolling through now and just confirm that your office prepared these and when they prepared them and what they demonstrate.
Sure. These were originally put together back in June. We have made adjustments based on the last meeting that we had here.
So these are updated exhibits. Let's refer to them in order that you're going to present them so that we can keep a record of it.
Understood. This is, we'll call this Exhibit 1. This is, thank you.
A11,
It's,
do we have a hard version also?
yeah.
So you can mark them as we scroll through them. Okay, I'm going to give it to Court.
Yeah, if you have an extra set.
Oh, yeah, we have some extra sets if you want to.
Got enough?
So let's just go through each exhibit one at a time, describe what we're looking at, and if there's any changes from the last hearing, just describe that also.
Sure. So this is the design sketch of the,
And this is A12, right?
yes.
Okay.
So this is the updated design sketch of bringing the sign to a LED screen in the middle. At the top, we have a static analog physical Bellworks logo, and at the base we have the address. The address was added based on our last conversation we had with the board. That is also static. This design is at all three locations. So this is the design that would replace the existing sign. It's basically the exact same size. The only thing that's different is we're changing out for an LED in the middle. Moving on to the next exhibit.
A12, right?
So A13 is simply showing the existing state at Crawford's Road.
That's the existing sign that's there today.
Correct.
Keep going.
And the next exhibit is showing what the sign would look like with the new design.
So what is that representing, that picture that you see in the middle there?
That would be a digital slide. So that's very similar to the existing screens that are on the property on the Oval Road on the way in.
And how far from the sign were you when these photos were taken?
This is the distance that we ended up taking the light readings from. This 150 feet.
150 feet.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This is the existing at the opposite end of Crawford's Road.
15. That's existing.
And this is 16, showing the new design at that location.
17.
Existing at Middletown Road. And the new design at Middletown Road.
A18 now.
So this is the updated lighting plan based on all of our discussions and feedback from everyone. Basically, we're showing the course of a day, sunrise. The screens are 100%. That just competing with general sunlight. At nightfall, we're going to dim down 90% to 10%. So basically, that would, based on all of the measurement tests that we've done, that definitely falls under the 0.3 foot candles. Everything came in generally around 0.1 foot candle. Only a couple bright situations that we tested were above that. They came in at 0.2 or 0.3. And we are also suggesting for any designers creating the art that they go with darker backgrounds to stay away from anything bright, white, light backgrounds.
And what's the significance of the 0.3 foot candles?
The 0.3 foot candles is the stipulation in the New Jersey Code not to exceed 0.3 foot candles above the ambient light at 150 feet. So we measured with 3 different light meters to make sure we were getting correct readings, and we did this on multiple occasions at different times. Obviously, this is the readings are based on at night. So this is making sure that we're true contrast of the background.
So it dimmed by 90% to a 10% level.
Correct.
They all fall well within the 0.3 foot.
They do at 20%. So.
And was the 10% level a level that was shown at the on-site?
It was.
And that was the last one we showed?
Correct.
And then what is proposed at 10 p.m.?
At 10 p.m., instead of having the slides change out for different messaging for the different establishments within Bellworks, we are proposing that we go to a solid sign with the logo. Does not change from 10 p.m. until sunrise.
And that's effectively what's there today.
Yes, that's what we currently have there right now. On the inside.
Okay, thank you. And this proposal is meant to try to address the comments we heard from the board and the public, both at the public hearing as well as the on-site.
That is correct. The dimming where we're landing is taking it as far down as we really can to bring soften the brightness of the light during the evening hours, and then to essentially make it a static sign at night and truly bring the brightness as far down as possible with a black background and just basic text.
Any other exhibits that you have?
That is the last one.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just for the resolution, the dimming to 90%. At nightfall, you call it, that is just going to be at dusk, or what? That's just going to be is that a fixed time, or that's going to be, I just want to know how I'm going to write the resolution if this gets approved.
Sure. Nightfall is roughly 30 minutes after dusk. Excuse me, after sunset. After sunset.
Will be a photo sensor?
Yes, that's in the proposal.
Okay.
What time do the majority of the businesses close within the building?
You know, let's have Mr. Zucker respond to that question. It's more appropriate for him. He's going to be our next witness to try to answer those types of questions.
Yeah, I'm just curious how you came up with the 10 p.m.
Right. Fair question.
All right, well, the question I have then is, at each street corner, there are existing light fixtures now, right? So the 0.3 foot candles, was that results based on the demonstration we did? Because the ambient light in those corners may be higher given the light fixtures there.
Correct. During our testing, we measured the one that you're discussing. We also measured a little down the street to get away from that ambient light. It was the same reading. So basically, no interference from those.
Okay.
Question. The proposed sign is LCD technology, correct?
LED.
LED. The present sign that's there, the black and white, what is that presently now?
At the entrances, they are currently physical signs. They are a combination of steel and acrylic.
What's the lighting? How is it lit?
They are internally lit.
Is that incandescent, fluorescent?
I believe they're incandescent.
Thank you. I have a question for a planner. If they were to modify the existing sign on Middletown Road, keeping the same technology, but changing the message, is that required that we approve that, or can they do that on their own? Would you think?
If they were not proposing the digital LED signs, That's a good question. Typically, yes, because of the nature of this redevelopment plan, because they have kind of a signed master plan, they may have had to come back to the board for amended approval, but they may not have, but they would not have needed variance requests like they are now.
So the redevelopment plan prescribes what is and what is not allowed.
It generally does. One thing that the redevelopment plan also says is that pretty much any development requires site plan approval. However, you know, I'm not sure if just a simple change of message would. I would defer that to the zoning officer who's not here tonight. But they would not need variances if they were coming in with a different message, but not proposing LED or changeable copy.
In the last meeting, you brought up the fact that it appears that the internal signs are not conforming with what the special conditions were. You still believe that's true, correct?
Yes, I do. That's my, that's my read of the resolution from the previous approval. I know the applicant has taken a different position. But if you can look at number 3 and number 4 of my letter dated May 3rd, 2023, where I talk about both the general regulations for signs and the condition that was applicable from the previous resolution. It was the way, the special condition, the way that it was written, special condition 8 states that all approved digital signs shall be static and not flashed or have any movement with any changes reset during off hours only. The applicants here so they technically do need a relief from that condition as well. I know that the applicant has their planner here to provide testimony on that, but I do think that that's technically not in compliance with the resolution.
So the applicant does not agree with that.
I'll let them state their position, but that was said on the record last time.
Further in that resolution, it was approved. I read an LCD display. Are they indeed LED?
That might have been a typo. I wasn't here for that.
And also that the signs not be visible from adjacent roadways.
Yes, these were referring to the interior signs that are there now.
So isn't there I think it's Jansky Road? Did that not exist when this was approved?
I can't tell you what the phasing would have been at that time. I'm not sure when, these signs were constructed versus when the Jansky Drive was constructed. But most likely, you can read the resolution for what it says, but it probably would have, probably meant out external roadways at the time, but I can't say for sure whether Jansky was built then.
I'm looking at your page 3 on the plans. Is that space 7'4", 9'6" where the advertisements will be? It'll take up that space?
The white area will be where the advertisements are.
Excuse me?
The 7'4", 9/16", yes. That is the area where the messaging will be.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I do. Are these signs meant to be read from the main roads or just from the interior access point?
From the main roads, Crawford's Corner and Middletown Road.
And you feel they're adequate to be read from the main road distance?
That is something that needs to be taken into consideration when the message is designed, yes. So the text needs to be large, cannot be busy backgrounds, etc. But yes, it should work.
Larger text is probably better than smaller text?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
All right,
I guess.
I have one
okay.
question. How are there any changes going to be made to the interior signs? Will this how does this compare to their current lighting motif on the interior signs and the dimming, etc.?
One we have, Mrs. Zucker, deal with that question.
Okay.
We're just talking about the exterior signs now, but if the board has questions about interior signs, Mrs. Zucker is the appropriate party to
All right, so now we ask, no other questions. Mr. Zucker can come up, right?
Well, we'll ask for the next witness.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so if there's no other questions from the board or the planners, please present your next witness.
Will do. Ralph, you want to come up? So we, just so the board is aware, Mr. Zucker is going to testify as to these changes and some of the comments we heard and how we would like to address them. And then we're going to have a planner testify as to support the relief being requested, and then obviously we can address any other questions the public may have. Ralph, just identify yourself again. You previously were sworn, but we'll identify yourself.
Ralph Zucker. I'm the developer of Bellworks.
So Ralph, let's talk a little bit about, you did talk about the importance of these signs to your retail and personal service establishments. Let's talk about that a little bit more and what you've now done to try to address the comments that we heard from your neighbors in the surrounding community.
Just a quick recap, and everybody's time is valuable, and it's, with everything else going on, it almost feels uncomfortable to discuss things like candlelight levels and things like that, but I know it's important to everybody. We are here simply, this is not I want to remind everybody, these signs are there to support the ecosystem that is Bellworks. Bellworks, thank God, wildly successful. We are proud of what we've achieved. We've created a great place for Holmdel, great place to work, great place to play, great place to walk, just great place to be. Helped stabilize the ratables in the municipality as well. But all of this is not easy. Post-COVID, a lot of the offices are only open or occupied Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's almost like a 3-day work week now. Much less traffic for the retailers inside the building from the tenants. And what's interesting is that the retail actually got better to a certain point because the people in the surrounding communities, not just Holmdel, all around, are coming here. They feel comfortable. When I say here, I mean Bellworks. They feel comfortable. They feel safe, and it's a great environment for them to spend their time, both socially and as well as shopping and working and everything else. We open up our Wi-Fi to the community. There's free Wi-Fi. You can walk your dog, you can walk your kids, you can walk around. We've become, in a very large sense, the main street. However, our retailers are struggling still because they are not visible from the road. And just to remind everybody, as we said last time, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. And we are here simply to try to support our retailers. This is not a revenue-generating proposal. This is going to cost us money. We're not going to charge our tenants for this. This is simply a way to get the message out. So somebody drives by and they say, oh, I see Mezzaluna's open. Let me go in there and get something to eat. I see that Jersey Freeze is there. It's a reminder. It's for somebody who may not have been there yet. It's to tell people that are going by specifically, not the people on site. It's geared to the people off-site, driving by to help the retailers promote themselves. To help promote events that are there. That's the only thing it's going to do. We need it to support that ecosystem. Without the retail, we're just another office building. And just another office building. Suburban offices are going the way of all offices. They're being vacated all across the country. I'm sure you're all aware. So we have 97% occupancy rate because of the amazing retail and pedestrian street environment that we've created. So this is not just about another shop and to say, who cares if there's an ice cream store or not? That's the magic sauce that makes Bellworks what it is. That's why we're here. Now that being said, we were really taken aback. We think, wow, we're great guys. We've done this amazing thing. Of course, we did it for ourselves, but we know that the community enjoys it, and many of the people here If you remember last time, said, yeah, we come there, we walk there, and we get complaints. How come the stores close early? How come I can't buy anything to drink? My kids are playing basketball in the free basketball that we provide to the community, and they can't find anything that's open. Well, the retailers are struggling. There's not enough people coming in. We have to have that. So we were surprised by the outpouring of almost outrage at what we were proposing. We were taken aback. We were unaware. We were caught flat-footed, and for that we apologize. What we've done since then, as you've seen here tonight, is we've totally redone our program. We've reduced by 90% from when it gets dark. You know, at sunset, there's still a lot of ambient light. A half hour after sunset, it's still ambient light, but we could already afford. You can see the signs if you go down to 10%. We didn't come in here and say, oh, we'll go to 50%, 40%. We checked and worked with our professionals what would be the absolute minimum that we could afford to go with and still get the message out there, and it's 10%. So we've come in here with a 90% reduction. It will affect nobody, in our professionals' opinion, and according to the Candlefoot readings that you know about. You get more light from your street lights, more light from a passing car, more light from anything than what we're proposing. At the same time, we also heard that there's a concern about the lights, the signs that we have internally. We told you then, although we disagree as to the interpretation, with friendly disagreement. However, we understood that the residents of around us are still, especially the senior community, are bothered by the intensity of those signs at 100%. We already dimmed them, and if our approval here tonight is approved, we are willing also to commit that the same rules that govern the new signs that we're putting on the outside will also apply to the interior signs. And we've been doing that, I believe, voluntarily already. At 10 o'clock, if you come by, and again, there's always, if there's like a 1 in a, 5-10 times a year that there's like a major event going on and the signs have to go later, but which we noted on the plans that you have. But other than that, these signs are reduced to, they look static, they're black and white signs, just like the ones that when you drive out, they just say, Bell Works. We can't turn them off completely because then a motorist might hit them if they don't see them. Otherwise, we actually could turn them off completely. We can't do that. But they're reduced to almost nothing. So that would be a voluntary, whether we're right or wrong, it doesn't even matter. By day, these things affect nobody. At a half hour after sunlight, after sunset, they would go down. Even the interior signs would go down to 10%, and then at 10 o'clock at night, they would go to the black and white Bell Works sign and logo. You asked why 10 o'clock? Most of our retailers are closed by 10 o'clock. We do keep Bellworks open until 12 to accommodate people who just want to be there. There's people still studying. And that, by the way, that comes, we have to provide security and clean up and everything. And our tenants are out of there by 6, 7 o'clock. So this is something that we provide. We're proud to provide it from 6 a.m. until 12 p.m. It's open. But at 10 o'clock, there's really no need anymore for the retail signage, so we could turn it off. And again, this is not a marketing gimmick. It's not we're not trying to sell any advertising. It's not a billboard. It's simply to support the retailers. So 10 o'clock is the time. Some of them are still open to drop past that. Some of the entertainment venues, I believe, sometimes the Escapology may have, but those are by appointment, and we don't need it. So if we don't need it, why ask for it? That's really where we stand. I want to say we don't want to fight with our community. We don't want to fight with the neighbors. Whatever the board's wisdom decides, we're not going to contest it. This is way. It's important. It's very important, but it's not worth getting into a war over. So we ask very much that this be approved. We understand the anxiety. We were here since 2008. There was a lot of anxiety. There were passionate descriptions of what we're going to do to Holmdel and destroy Holmdel with what we were going to do at Bell Works. I think we've proven otherwise, and we ask the chance to prove once again that what we're doing is going to be amazing, helpful, and we're not going to hurt anybody. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Zucker. Anyone on the board have any questions for him? Yeah, Bill?
I do. Mr. Zucker, define a large special event. How many of those have occurred, and how often would they occur?
I would say they probably occur 4 or 5 times a year, and we could commit now that it wouldn't be more than 10 a year. It's more if it's needed for public safety or something like that. There's, and usually they would not only have to be large events, but have to require direction for people beyond just the Bellworks logo being on there. And usually by 10 o'clock that's not. So we could agree to criteria, and we could agree that that would not be more than 10 times a year.
Could you provide an example of a recent special event?
Well, we had. I don't think this would qualify, but there was a fundraiser Saturday night. It went till 11 o'clock at night. It was a foundation for cancer research. There were a lot of people there. Some of you may have been there. It was done by I think the owner of Buy Right Liquors. It was a wine tasting event, but it was a fundraiser. I think his wife passed away from cancer, and it was a fundraiser. I forgot the exact name I'll give you. That was an event that actually went on a Saturday night till 11 o'clock at night, and people were coming in and out. So for an event like that, it would be helpful to the public, but it's not vital, and that's really not why we're here. It's almost a shame not to be able to tell the public, hey, you're here for this. And most people by 11 we're leaving, by 10 o'clock we're leaving, not coming in. So that's why by 10 o'clock at night, even that event, which went till 11, and there were people coming in and out, that might qualify. But again, we don't have that many of those.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Mr. Zucker? Let's see. Going back to resolution of 2017-4, the special condition number 8 had called for the signs to be static and not flash or have movement, and there was, my understanding, a discrepancy between that wording and what is. Do you have an opinion on that?
Sure. Again, I'm going to defer to the planner and everything. I can just give you my feeling. So we interpreted that to mean that, video or flashing lights or things like that, not that a static, you could stand there and watch it and you would not know that, this is not there's no movement. It's this. It'll say, live, shop, work, play, and then it'll say Jersey Freeze. But there's no movement. There's nothing happening because of the technology that's there. There's no flashing lights. There's no, it's not. So we interpret it as to mean, again, I'm not the one to testify to this. We'll let the pros do that. So I'm not, otherwise my lawyer will fire me. But we're definitely talking, that's how we understood it, number one. Number two, I do want to apologize. I must tell you that change, and I mentioned this last time, happened as we were trying to pull out of COVID. We were struggling. The building was empty. We were telling our shopkeepers, hey, you have to open up so that the businesses come back. They were saying, we can't afford to open if nobody's here. We went to our marketing team and we said, we've got to put better signs up. We didn't sit there and read. We didn't even remember what it said in 2017. It wasn't. It was a non-issue. So if it's found that there was something wrong, we do apologize for that. I think what we've proposed here tonight will go way beyond rectifying that, because we have the ability, we have the right to keep a static sign there all night at 100% illumination. That's definitely within the zoning that was approved. We would reduce it at half hour after sunset to 10%, reduce it by 90%. That's something we don't have to do. And at 10 o'clock, we would be governed by the same rule of the new signs, which we would go to a black and white static sign that says Bell Works, which we've shown to you today, and it's on your screen. So that would make it much better, even than what was approved way back then.
My observation from driving by is the portion of the sign that says, I believe it says, well, open to the public. I think that.
That's on the outside signs. We're talking about the internal signs now.
Yeah. Now I'm talking about the outside.
Okay, yeah.
So on that sign, I think it says open to the public.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that resonates with everyone. My opinion of Bellworks is it's a kind of a destination. I'm not sure that people driving by, other than for curiosity sake, are going to turn in. That's an opinion.
Are you proving my point?
But
That's why we're here.
Your testimony was somebody drives by and sees XYZ is open.
Yeah.
And then what do they do? Because at that point, my understanding is they've passed the driveway already. So the sign is after the driveway. So you come around the curve, you're at the driveway or past the driveway, now you see the sign XYZ is open. So first question is, what does that person do? How do they get in? Secondly, the odds of them seeing XYZ is open is like 1 out of 15, because it's going to be a rotation of 15 messages, correct?
I'm glad you're asking. So I don't know how many messages, and it's like we said, it's going to change very, I think once every 15 seconds or so. So it's not going to be any rotating signs. But I understand your question, and I'd like to make 2 points. First of all, I would assume, I don't want to ask you a question because you're supposed to ask me the questions, but I would assume that you've heard of Coca-Cola. And yet, Coca-Cola spends more money marketing Coca-Cola and reminding you that they exist than they actually spend bottling and shipping and everything else. So the point that I'm making is that marketing is consistent, it's constant, it has to be there all the time. Somebody's going to drive by. Most people drive by these streets. This is not on a highway. This is not a billboard. These are people who come by all the time. They'll remember, just like you see a Walmart and you don't turn into the park and go, oh, Walmart, I'm going to make a turn. No, but in your mind it registers that Walmart is there. Same thing here. Next time you want an ice cream cone, you'll say, hey, Jersey Freeze is there. So it's really a matter of messaging and consistency rather than, oh, we're trying to target somebody who's driving by and is going to slam on the brakes and turn in and go get a pizza. That's not the idea. It's just telling people, hey, we're your neighborhood Main Street. This is where we are. We don't have a sign. Every store has a sign on it for that same reason. Not because people are going to hit the brakes and say, oh, I'm going to go into the lumberyard or to the Kohl's or whatever it is. They know that that's where it is. I passed the Starbucks. I passed the Dunkin' Donuts. They have signage. Signage is very important to retail for that reason.
Would you say the new signs are commercial in nature?
I would say that listen, we strove very hard to be within the spirit, even the first time, and of course now, to be within the spirit of the bucolic nature of Holmdel, to be a little bit more elegant. This is not, a myriad of signs all over the place. I want to tell you a little story. We have our largest tenant is ISIMS. ISIMS occupies 350,000 square feet in Bellworks. And when we were negotiating with Colin Day, at the time the CEO of ISIMS, they were in, I think it's Manalapan. You saw their sign from the Parkway. They had a huge sign that said ISIMS. Red sign, and then a bird or whatever it is. That was a big thing. And here I am. I have a vacant building. Almost vacant. Maybe I had 40,000 square feet leased at the time. We were struggling. And here is a 350,000 square foot, 16-year lease. You can imagine that was important to us. And yet, they said, we'll come. And I remember where I was standing. By the glass elevators overlooking, I think it's the east parking lot. And Colin Day said to me, I will come to Bellworks. We'll do this deal, but you have to put the ISIMS sign. They wanted the ISIMS sign on the building, on Bellworks, on the building itself. They wanted it by the street. At one point, they wanted us to color the water tower with their colors, and here it is, And I said, Colin, with all due respect, what you're asking for, the reason you're coming to Bellworks is not because it's ISIMS. It's because you want to join what's going to be an amazing community, an inspired place for people to get together. The minute you put your sign up that says ISIMS, it's going to be good for you maybe, but it's going to destroy everything. So respectfully, I can't agree. However, you see that flagpole right out there? we'll put a new flagpole with the American flag in the front, which is what we did. And the iCIMS flag can fly from that flagpole. If you go there now, you'll see the iCIMS flag. So we're sensitive to our environment. We're sensitive to what we feel. Yes, we could have asked for way bigger signage and billboards and who knows what. This is very much in keeping with the ethos and the methodology and our surroundings.
It's interesting that you point out the water tower out front.
Yeah.
So there was a misinterpretation, perhaps, about flashy signs and not flashy signs, and rotating signs. With regard to the tower itself, that's an iconic little piece of history there. So what is your opinion as, since ISIMS asked you to do their colors, what's your opinion of doing that? Can you do that?
I think I'm allowed to, but I wouldn't.
Okay, so you feel you're allowed to change the color of the lighting? I don't know. Are you allowed to advertise off of that? Project?
We believe we are, but we're not planning on doing it. So that's not. I will tell you something. The water tower was lit in the 60s. The lights that are there are the lights that were there. We didn't put new lights. We may have changed the bulbs, but those lights were there. From time to time, on special occasions, we change the color of the light. That's all we do. We don't market. We don't project on there. It's not a bad idea, but we're not planning on it.
Yeah, Wes, let's try and stay on point. Anyone else have anything to say of this witness? Do you have someone else you'd like to call?
We do.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just for resolution purposes, you're going back to Bill's question, on the maximum 10 events per year, is there a time on that when they would go to static? Is it still 10 p.m. static?
No, they were saying that on those, let's say 10 times a year, we would, as needed, we would keep it active until whenever. Well, I can't imagine, but yeah. But
time, I would assume. For the rest.
Close at midnight, so why not?
that's fine. That's fine.
Not past midnight.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zucker.
Thank you very much.
So one more witness, Nick Graviano is our professional planner. I'd like to call Mr. Graviano up. Nick was not here at the first meeting, but we've talked extensively about this application. I've had him review the master plan, the site plan, and
Does he need to be sworn?
local ordinances, but he does need to be sworn, yes.
I do.
For the record, just spell your name for the record.
Yes, my first name is Nicholas with an H, last name Graviano, G-R-A-V as in Victor, I-A-N-O. I'm a planner and partner with Graviano and Gillis Architects and Planners.
Nick, give the board the benefit of your professional experience and credentials.
Yes, I hold a bachelor's degree from Rutgers University, a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University. I have a law degree from the Temple University School of Law, where I received this distinguished class performance in state and local government law. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I've testified before boards and governing bodies in 18 different counties, over 100 municipalities. I've been previously qualified by this board in conjunction with the Bellworks applications with the previous approvals.
Chairman, I'd offer Mr. Graviano as an expert in planning.
Any objections? Proceed.
Thank you for having me, board.
Nick, just before you get into your testimony, can you describe for the board what you did to prepare for this testimony, including what you reviewed and the review letters that we received on this application?
Certainly had an opportunity to review both the board engineer and board planner review letters in conjunction with this application, as well as the township zoning ordinance master plan and the Alcatel-Lucent redevelopment plan from 2012.
And just describe the relief that's requested and then the support for the board to grant the relief that the applicant's looking for this evening.
Certainly. The applicant is before you this evening requesting amended preliminary and final major site plan approval relating to a specific property known as Block 11, lots 38.03 to 38.07. That is in the Alcatel-Lucent redevelopment area. The applicant is requesting a modification of the existing freestanding signage. We've we've discussed this at length, the two signs on Crawford's Corner Road, as well as the other freestanding sign at the entrance at Middletown Road. Just to put the property in some brief context, we're all familiar with the site. The building itself is 3,100 feet from Crawford's Corner Road. That's a straight line distance from the building to the nearest point. Ironically, it's the same distance from Middletown Road, about 3,100 feet. The building houses approximately 2 million square feet of office, retail, restaurant space on a site that encompasses over 230 acres for this portion alone. The building was designated on the National Register of Historic Places in June of 2017. And both the Alcatel-Lucent redevelopment plan, which was done in 2012, as well as the Township Master Plan reexamination, which was conducted in March of 2020, was actually adopted in March of 2020, were both done before the true effects of the COVID-19 pandemic were felt. The board planner in the May review letter identified 3 C variances that are required with the applicant's proposal. The first relates to the height of the sign. I would like to note that the size of these signs are not changing from what exists now. The sign itself is 10 feet in height on a 7-inch base. So if the base does trigger the C variance, we're certainly requesting that variance tonight. As I said, it's not being changed by this application. The board planner also identifies 2 variances which we respectfully do not feel we need, relating to the animation, flashing, and illusionary signs, as well as the illuminated signs. We respectfully do not agree that we meet those definitions. However, we're going to put on the planning proofs to justify those variances, since the board planner has deemed those to be necessary.
Nick, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just for the board's knowledge, the variance for height is no longer required. The applicant has revised the plans to reduce the height of the sign since I wrote this letter, so everything's conforming. So
Thank you.
Don't
for
just spend
clarifying
time on that one.
Okay, so the variance relief requests to the proposed changing of the sign face and the illumination of the sign face. I just want to highlight some objectives in the 2012 redevelopment plan, specifically to provide an opportunity for the development of a diversified mix of land uses that will foster the long-term viability of the existing buildings and grounds. And you heard Mr. Zucker, who's been involved with this project from day one, explain why the retail and restaurants are so important to the vitality of this building. Additionally, the redevelopment plan seeks to provide increased employment opportunities for the existing and future residents of the Township of Holmdel. This is an application to promote the vitality of this business, of these businesses, thus increasing employment opportunities for the residents of the Township. Additionally, to provide the redevelopment of the property to increase tax ratables within the Township. Provide for the activation of underutilized lands which represent a lost opportunity for a valuable contribution to the welfare of the community. And then lastly, to provide a centralized place that will promote for a diversity of land uses that will foster smart growth planning principles. These signs are being proposed to foster and advance all of those goals and objectives of the 2012 redevelopment plan. Many of those goals and objectives are somewhat echoed in the 2020 Master Plan reexamination, where key economic goals of the townships were identified to seek tax stability for Holmdel residents, to seek stable, high-quality ratables that reflect favorably on the image and identity of the township, to facilitate a positive business climate in Holmdel and provide opportunities for non-residential development and local employment where appropriate, and to strive for diversity in the township's economic base and job base, so Holmdel can better withstand the effects of changing business cycles and fluctuations in different industries. And post-COVID, we've certainly seen a change in the business cycle and a fluctuation in the different industries, and the signage application is a response to that changing cycle. With respect to the two variances required by the applicant, I feel that they both can be granted under the C1 and C2 variance criteria. In terms of the C1 criteria, the board has the power to grant C1 variances by reason of extraordinary and exceptional situation uniquely affecting a specific piece of property, and that strict application of the township zoning ordinances would create an undue hardship upon the developer. As I stated previously, the building is on the National Register of Historic Places. Building signage in this context is not an option. The extreme setbacks from the roadways, existing signage does not provide insight on the tenants or offerings of the buildings. So for those reasons, that's an extraordinary situation affecting this specific piece of property. I think with the granting of those variances in the C1 context, there's no substantial impairment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. In terms of the C2 criteria, as the board knows, hardship's not required. What must be demonstrated that relates to a specific piece of property. Here you have a 230-plus acre redevelopment site containing the largest building within the township. That the applicant must also demonstrate advancements of the purposes of zoning in the municipal land use law. With the purpose of the zoning, this proposal certainly advances purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of lands in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And the requested signage promotes the general welfare by identifying the businesses and the building that have been impacted by the reduction of daily on-site workers and the lack of visibility from the main entrance points. You heard Mr. Zucker touch on this in his testimony, but here you have a building where there's 2 million square feet of space and not a single tenant is identifiable from any of the entrance roadways of this development. Additionally, this proposal provides sufficient space in an appropriate location for a variety of commercial uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. As been discussed, this is being built on existing sign locations. These sign areas have been deemed an appropriate location to provide site recognition of the building, and the applicant hopes that it certainly provides site recognition for the building's tenants. And then lastly, this proposal certainly promotes a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. In context of this site, these signs are very modest in size. It's certainly better than what you would have in a conventional shopping center where you're listing all the tenants on a strip. This is a way for the applicant to identify the businesses with the building at 15-second intervals to generate increased education to the passersby of the site. As with the C1 variances, these variances can certainly be granted without substantial detriment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance or the public good.
Questions of our planner?
Kate?
Sure. So, thank you, Nick. I think Nick covered, what the variances that were really requested here are for the change in, basically the LED and the graphics and the change in motion. And, while they may respectfully disagree, he did put proofs on the record for that. So, I think that one thing to consider here for the board is that this redevelopment plan was initially adopted in 2012. And, this was the biggest project going. No one really knew what it would look like and, how it would work out. And, the signage regulations at that time were pretty minimal. The only thing that was really permitted in terms of facing the outside world were these signs at entranceways. So then there was some signs permitted in the interior that were limited in size. And essentially what happened is in 2017, the applicant came back to this board and said, hey, we need slightly bigger directional signs. We need some changes. People are having trouble navigating. And that was something that the board, based on the resolution and, from that time, that was something that was taken into consideration. And so that was, just one of those things that changes over time. And so now we're in 2023. And in 2012, when the ordinance was written, or the redevelopment plan was written, I don't think anybody really envisioned the office market, the office would change so much. So I think, the board can take into account whether you think there really have been material changes that warrant this, and if there have been, how what the applicant has put on the record, whether they've taken substantial measures to mitigate the impact on the surrounding environment, particularly the residents who are closest here. So that's really the only comment I have.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate. Anyone from the board have anything to say?
I have a question. How many of the businesses within Bell Works are retail or restaurant?
Good question. Ralph? You can use that mic too.
Yeah, approximately 30. It's not an exact count. Approximately 30.
So we're talking then about the possibility of those signs having 30 different graphics.
Not necessarily. You're making a good point, but I do believe we're limited to changing it every 15 seconds. And not everything is going to be promoted all the time. This is going to vary. It's going to change. It's going to be based. It's primarily more. Even though some things are retail establishments. I don't know if the Holmdel Library is in our one of those 30, and I'd be more than happy to remind the public that the Holmdel Library is there as well. But not all the businesses need the same level of exposure. There's for example, one of the retail businesses, a Montessori school. We don't get a lot of pressure from him to say, "Hey, Montessori is here," because they have their classes and they have their people, and it's more of a destination of people who know it. It's more for the retail, the food establishments, things like that. But again, no matter what it is, it's not going to change more than once every 15 seconds, and you would have to stand there and stare at it and say, "Oh, did it just change?" Because that's how the technology is today. I like what your planner said, and I think some of the technology that we're talking about didn't even exist when we started planning this. It wasn't even possible to do what we're talking about doing here today, talk about changing times. So we're committed to the 15 seconds, and you're not going to see, you'll never know. You'll never know. One time you'll see this, one time you'll see that. And I would give you an example. You drive by billboards on the highway that are digital and change, and one time you see a message like this, and one time you see a message like that, you'll never notice it changing. Never.
One of my concerns is that we're talking about the possibility of, and I'll call it advertising, I don't know if that's the right word, but notifying or advertising of a special event. I would not be excited to see things posted, congratulations on your wedding, or happy anniversary, or things like that.
We agree with you. You won't see that.
So we could stipulate that conditionally, anything on the sign will be strictly regarding the businesses in Bell Works.
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Okay. Right, that would address you. Okay. Good? Yeah, I get it. Ron, anything? No?
I have a question.
Yeah, Wes. Yeah, Wes.
Kate, in bulk C variants, they have two tracks that they can follow. One is the property creates by virtue of the property, it creates an undue hardship, and there's practical difficulty because of the property that they need this, so to speak. And then the second is that any benefit would substantially outweigh any detriment to the public, right? It appears, correct me if I'm wrong, you're taking both tracks, right? You're saying this proposal satisfies both of those terms. that right?
That is correct. As you heard in my testimony, I did identify extraordinary conditions specific to this piece of property. Specifically, the fact that it's on the National Register of Historic Places. The applicant is not allowed to put signage on the facade. Additionally, the extreme setback distance from the roadways, approximately 3,100 feet from both Crawford's Corner Road and Middletown Road. That's over a half a mile, to put that in context. And the applicant certainly meets the C2 criteria. Hardship need not be demonstrated. It relates to a specific piece of property or unique property in the Alcatel-Lucent redevelopment plan. Certainly advances the goals and objectives of both the redevelopment plan and the master plan reexamination. Advancing those purposes of zoning. Purpose A, relating to the general welfare, providing a environment for the retail and restaurant businesses of Bell Works to thrive. Providing a sufficient space and appropriate location for the signage which exists today, and then lastly, providing a desirable visual environment through promoting modest signs that occasionally advertise the users of the building.
Some of the public has discussed the ambience of the area or the rural character of the area. Is it your testimony that these signs will have no effect on the rural character and the existing ambience of the main roads there?
I do not feel that these signs will promote a substantial detriment to the public good. I think they're reasonably sized signs relating to an extraordinarily sized site. And signage for this important building for the Township of Holmdel is certainly needed.
We open it up to comments. So
if the board's done, and unless Kate or Bob have anything else, we'll open it up to public questions.
Just one other thing I'd like to note is that there are 3 illuminated municipal signs on Crawford's Corner Road, so this isn't exactly an exceptional proposal by the applicant. There's one here at Township Hall, there's one at the school, and there's one at the Board of Education, so they certainly exist in the community.
All right. Bob, Kate, are you good? Okay. So I guess at this time, we'd like to open up the floor to questions from the public. Only. Yes. Questions only. No comments. Keep it on point. I will cut you off. So not because I don't like you, just the way it is. So if you have any questions, please come up to the mic and speak now. Okay. You can vote. Whoever wants to come up first.
Okay. Chongyin Liu, 37 Oaks Drive. So who should I address to? I understand Bell Works wish to help the retailers to get more business through those signage. The Cross-Corner Road and the Middletown Road are local roads. What do you think? Who are regularly driving, walking, and biking on those roads? And who are you thinking and trying to attract into Bell Works for business from those proposed signage? That's my first question.
Okay, Mr. Zucker, you'd like to respond?
Yes. Thank you very much. We're trying to attract you. We're trying to attract the people who come by all the time. We're trying to remind you of what's there. We're trying to, like I mentioned earlier, just like Coca-Cola wants you to know over and over and over and over again. that Coca-Cola is the taste of life, or whatever it's up to today. That's what it's all about. This is really not aimed. This is not a billboard on the Garden State Parkway or on Route 35. This is about telling and reminding the local community what's here. And believe it or not, every day, we find somebody who lives within a mile or two of Bellworks that has never been inside, that comes in and go, wow, I never knew this was here. That's who it's aimed at.
So who are your primary shoppers and secondary shoppers? Is, I will say, inside your building, right? And also surrounding.
I don't understand the question.
Right.
Sorry.
So what I meant, you say you want to attract me to go to your business. I'm there. I put it like a regular business. I do the regular shopping there.
We appreciate that.
Right. So I think a lot of people, most of the people here in the audience, they are regular shopper because we live in close. So that's why I'm just wondering, you make it this big signage who you really want to attract, because those are like a local road. We are pretty regular people driving on that road. It's not like a highway or Route 35. They might have a random outside people. So that's my my question. But I think you answered. But you do have a big name, Bellworks.
Thank you.
All right, it's not that just we know there's a Coca-Cola, but you have a big name called Bellworks.
Thank you. We worked very hard on that name.
All right, and also my second question: are you aware Rose Road are curvy on Crawford's Corner Road and Middletown Road, where you propose to put up roads fancy signage? When drivers are passing those signage, there's a retailer signage, while on the curvy road, what do you want them to focus on? Road condition or facing sign?
I'll let the professionals answer that. I'm not qualified to answer
Also,
that.
let me finish a little bit. The entrance roads going to the Bellworks are curved too. Since the image on the signage changed, do you expect drivers to stop and look at the fancy sign? That's my question.
I'll let the professionals deal with that question later.
Yeah, ma'am, a lot of these questions have been evaluated by the board as far as traffic safety and how it's going to impact motorists as they drive by. So that's all things that have been considered by the board and our planners as
Right,
well.
but I really not I don't think you really address that safety because that's a curve. So later when they come in, I could show the photo I took to show you how dangerous of that curvy road to put on sign there, and people need to.
All right, that's noted, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will do that later.
Yes, thank you. Ma'am?
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Melinda Moore. I live at 6 Jansky. I'm one of the Jansky people that's highly affected by the signs. You asked if anybody was living at the time. Those were not built along the side that is affected by the lit signs. So
you're speaking the mic so everyone can
I'm
hear
sorry. So we were not living there, the whole side of Jansky that is affected by the illuminated signs that are on the interior road right now. My question is, I understand and I respect retail. I was in the retail business for 40 years, and I understand the need for marketing, but I don't understand the need for illuminated signs anytime past 9 o'clock at night. The retail establishments are not open. I'm sure the traffic studies you did will show that there's not that much traffic that late at night. And I know pictures, if I have the opportunity, give you 1,000 words. I can show you what shows into my bedroom bedroom window every
Ma'am, are
night.
these about the signs inside the?
Yes,
Okay.
the illuminated signs.
Right.
that
Well,
are
this is more about the exterior signs.
Right, and I know they're tied in, which is my concern, because they're saying they will do the same on one set of signs. as the other.
Let's keep in mind, miss, that they're under no obligation to do so, but as a concession, because they understand your concerns, they're willing to reduce the amount of illumination on the interior signs as well. well
Right.
as a
So I feel
concession.
that they're the same issues going to happen with the exterior sign as you are. You're going to have the extensive illumination. It still affects you even at the 10%. I'm not against having regular retail and establishment. Of course, my concern is very late at night.
But the subject of the three signs, I mean, I've driven past, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know whether those three signs particularly affect anyone's personal homes. I understand the interior signs may, but the ones that we're talking about are the exterior ones, and I don't believe they shine into anyone's backyard, unless I'm
No, but I
mistaken.
think that the effect on the street is the same as that I'm getting into my windows. A very bright light, even at the 10%, is the thing you still see. It's very dramatic at you at night.
Well, is there a question? Because that's more of a
If there's a
comment.
way just to turn them off at like all around, all the signs at like 10 o'clock at night. I don't think the traffic past 10 o'clock at night needs to have illuminated signs on the roads where it's both a hazard and disruptive to the community.
So I would say two things. First of all, they can never be turned off because that would be the biggest hazard. People wouldn't see them and they might drive into them. So they have to have some illumination 24/7. At the same, I'm not here to debate you, ma'am. I heard your question. If you let me answer you, I would appreciate it. The other thing is, I understand your concerns. That's why we're here offering, again, by right, according to our approval, we could have those interior signs that you say shine into your bedroom at 100% illumination all night long. We are willing to voluntarily stipulate as part of this approval that the lights interior close to Jansky will become 90% better, and also at 10 o'clock at night will be governed by the same thing. They will go from color to the black and white Bellworks logo. So it's just going to be better. If the board grants us the approval tonight, we will make that part of the stipulation. So whatever is bothering you will only get better. That's the only thing I could say. And I really can't, this is not a forum for debate.
Additional landscaping that would not inhibit and would be better for all the neighbors in general, then no one would either. If there was additional landscaping, nobody would be inhibited.
Well, as I'll say again, Miss, is that this is really about the three outside signs. I mean, as he stated, he's really under no obligation to do so. I'm sure if there's things that could be done, maybe he would look into it, but right now we're focusing on the three signs on the
I'm
outside.
disappointed by what I saw in the approvals. I did not see approvals for a 24-hour sign 7 days a week. Even when I purchased, it was not listed in my document and agreement. So that's why I brought that up. So it's not in there.
I didn't sell you your home, ma'am.
This board didn't control that.
I'm sorry.
This board didn't control that sale
Yeah,
either.
okay.
I mean,
That's-
if there was anything that was done contrary to our approval, this board doesn't control that either. That's done by code enforcement. So we're not here to really deal with anything that's existing now. We'll deal with the three outside signs, as been mentioned several times. So as a stipulation, if this board were to act favorably on the outside signs, the applicant's willing to try to accommodate as much as he's said, down to 90%. The interior signs, which may be a good thing to some people, may not, but that's a stipulation he's willing to put on. He's put on the record.
I understand that. I don't see that somebody would be a hazard on the road if they were turned off because people are driving on the roadway.
To be fair, I understand your point, but cars drive towards you with their brights on, there's street lights above you flashing in your eyes.
They have the lit signs all along that they've put all the beautiful lighting above the trees, so you have more than a way they can visually see the roadway with those lit signs. I mean, with the
Okay.
lit
All right.
trees.
That's-
So you
that's-
do see impact of the roadway.
All
That's
right.
not a visibility issue. And Thank you. for your
Thank you, Miss. Yes, whoever,
You can come up,
whoever's fastest can come on up.
Hi, my name is Bill Rosser. I live at 24 Jansky Drive. And I think it's great that you guys are doing this planning job and keeping Holmdel in the character it has. So the question, given that, thank God, we don't put multicolors up on the towers. I don't think, and that the idea of having flashing signs, changing colors, 15 seconds, the absorption of the driver is going to be very minimal. So the question is, have you considered some other alternatives to serve the retailers, which I think is a good and sound thing? I love Bellworks. I think it's great. I want to help the retailers. Okay. Have you considered, number one, having good quality directories in the building and online on the website. That makes sense, because
Once again, I told you, let's keep it, if it's a question, great, not for comments or suggestions, but if you have a question specifically, then that'd be great.
Okay. To increase retail business. The directories could be a lot better. You walk in, I lived there a year now. You walk in, it's very difficult to find out what's really there. I like to see what the restaurants are. Okay, that's one. Secondly, the parking situation. The semicircle, great to park there.
Sir, I told you, I'm gonna be a little curt with people. If it's got nothing to do with the 3 signs on the outside, I'm gonna say let's table it, but if you have questions.
What I was trying to do, just to explain, is divert some of the great energy towards the signs. Other things, they'll take the energy and do just as well as better for the retailers. That's all.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So my name is Ed Crawford. I live at 14 Stratford Lane. At the last meeting, I introduced myself. I'm the former CEO of Philips Lighting North America. How about I hold it? My name's Ed Crawford. Live at 14 Stratford Lane. At the last meeting, I introduced myself. I'm the former CEO of Philips Lighting North America. I listened to your resume. I appreciate that. I have 30 years in the lighting business, 8 as CEO of Philips Lighting, and I'm IALD certified in lighting technology, which is International Association of Lighting Designers. I have some, we could debate, I think, all night the marketing, benefits of signs versus no signs and everything else. I have some questions about the lighting specifically. First of all, I'm not quite sure because I've heard different things. Is the intent to build static lights or dynamic lighting? Because that's your only 2 choices, by the way. Signs either are static, meaning they don't change, or they're dynamic, meaning they do change. So is this a dynamic lighting or static?
I believe it's dynamic because it's going to change every 15 seconds based on those definitions.
Well, it's kind of a question I had for that. I happen to agree with your point of view, by the way.
You want to respond?
The messaging changes every 15
Which makes it dynamic lighting.
Correct. But there's a slight difference in
Hey, why don't you talk into the mic? So we get it.
the difference that I would just clarify is, yes, the message changes every 15 seconds. However, there is no motion, there is no blinking, there is no fading, there is no video. That is what I would argue in this particular case is taking dynamic to the next level. Changing the message is key to the fact that it is an LED sign. That is the purpose. If it's just a static sign, we would have to put up a very large sign with a lot of logos.
Okay, thank you. I think I understand that. I guess from a lighting perspective, we can get into a debate of how quickly something has to turn on and off to be dynamic lighting. I can tell you that by your own words, you said that at night you're going to turn it into static lighting, meaning that at 10 o'clock it'll change to one thing that'll be on till dawn. And I would agree, that is static lighting. I would disagree. Anything that changes every 15 seconds, it could be 10 seconds, it could be 2 minutes. That is by definition dynamic lighting. Now,
Mr. Chairman,
is there a question?
Well, that was a question, and I have other questions on the lighting testing that was done. But I think we've established that it is dynamic lighting.
Based on your definition.
If you're going to testify as an expert in something, we should have you qualified and sworn. And
I'd be happy to do that.
I think we're asking questions now, though. We're not presenting direct testimony.
Respectfully, I asked a question, and I got an answer. The board can decide whether it's dynamic lighting or not. I think that's fair. It's not my job. I have an opinion about it. So my next question is, I applaud what they've done here in terms of testing the light levels. You mentioned that it qualifies under Jersey law, 0.3 foot candles. The New Jersey law has nothing to do with that, by the way. So it's actually the OAAA which sets standards.
Yes,
So-
yes, I'm sorry not to be rude, no, you're here to, well, listen, sir, you're not offering, you're not hired by them, you're not our planner. If you have a question of them, we do have other people, so ask the question and let's.
So what was the procedure used to
We're not
test?
going to answer, we're not going to answer any of his questions.
Well, no, sir, he has the right to ask a question, let's see the question.
But we are not going to answer them. We went through this last time, he berated us, he can ask all the questions he wants, we'll sit here all night politely, but we will not answer.
That says a lot to me. So the question that I would suggest that they have to answer to you is did they follow the OAAA procedures for testing, which, by the way, has nothing to do with using a light meter while the ads are running. The light source is supposed to be white light only.
Again, we have an expert presentation right now who has not been qualified or sworn. So you can't present yourself as an expert without being qualified as such and being sworn in as an expert.
I'm not saying this.
You're raising all kinds of technical, but you're raising all kinds of technical issues that haven't been presented this evening.
You presented
And our
data.
testimony stands that we fall within the light limits as required by New Jersey standards.
So why shouldn't I be allowed to ask a question about what methodology they used for that testing?
Well, you asked it, I think they answered
No, they said that they weren't going to answer any of my questions.
They previously, I'll let the lighting expert stand up and say, but he talked about the New Jersey code. But if you want to just reiterate what you're saying.
How did you measure the lighting?
We measured it with 3 different light meters at 150 feet as stipulated based on the New Jersey Admin Code 19.4-8 .14, and we're looking at section G, number 4. Such signs shall not operate at brightness levels of more than 0.3 foot candles above ambient light as measured using a foot candle meter at the following preset distances. Between 0 and 350 square foot sign to be measured at 150 feet from the source. So the square footage of the sign that we were measuring was 32 square feet. The proposed new signs are at 66 square feet, so they fall within the 0 to 350 square foot sign, so much smaller than the high end of that. So we measured from 150 feet from the source.
Did you test it with white light or with a message on the board?
We're not going to respond to that.
Yeah, Bob, are you listening to that? Do you, or Kate, do you have any comments on what this gentleman is saying?
I do not. I'm not an expert in lighting.
Yeah.
You've taken a site plan application based on local land use standards and state standards, and you've taken it to the next level, which we're not prepared to address, nor do we think we have to. So they meet applicable code. Period. That's our testimony.
So I would only suggest to the board then that you might want to consult the lighting expert. The second thing I would suggest, the testing was done on a sign that I believe you said was
Sir, listen, just ask the question, that's all.
So would the light level of a sign twice as large be the same as the one you tested?
It's not relevant. Doesn't matter.
Why is it not relevant if the signs that you're proposing are twice as large?
We're not talking about hypotheticals. We're dealing with these 3 signs on this configuration, not about hypotheticals of what could be.
We're talking about 2 new signs on Jansky, on Crawford Corner Road, is that correct?
No, they're existing signs.
2 replacement signs?
Yeah.
Yes, replaced with LEDs versus, you said incandescent, I would argue they're probably not, but they are static signs being replaced by screens that are...
Sir, I'm not trying to minimize what you're saying. I'm just trying to move this meeting along. If you don't have a specific question...
I do, but nobody wants to answer. I'm saying, will we look at whether the light level for the two signs that they want to convert to LEDs,
They have provided, sir,
twice as large
they
as the ones
provided their light levels. We witnessed the light levels. Our planners, what are you shaking your head for? I'm giving you your respect. Give me my respect.
Okay.
They provided their light levels. We had our planners review everything. Many members of the boards were there. And we have all the information we need. I mean, I can get you 12 different lighting experts, give me 12 different readings and 12 different interpretations of every code out there. So, we can only do so much. I mean, these are just two signs.
I would only respond, if we tested the signs that are there, the LED signs that are there, the internal signs.
We're not talking about the internal signs.
But you're saying that we tested those signs to get light levels from them. I was at the demonstration.
Okay.
Those signs are half as large as these signs.
So when the signs are put in, I'm sure they'll verify the light levels in the same manner, and they'll show that it's the 0.3 foot candles that they're.
I can guarantee you it won't be, but go ahead and test
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Because by definition, they're twice as large, or twice as large.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Excuse me. My name is Anthony Imperiali. I own two retail businesses in Bellworks, Mezzaluna and Estrella Azul. I signed my lease in 2017 with Ralph 6 years ago. Before COVID, business was flourishing.
Is there a question? Because we understand the importance to your business, but if there's not a question, I'm going to ask you to please return to your seat.
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying we need this to survive. That's all I'm saying.
There will be time for comments later, but right now, we're just trying to get through the question portion of this.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. How's this food?
Hi, good evening. My name is Bill Marito. I'm at 8 Eastbrook Drive in Holmdel. I've been here for, 25 years. And look, lumens, all this stuff is beyond me. I'm not a zoning expert. I'm a parent. I'm not an expert in any of the zoning, lumens. I don't know. It's for you guys to figure out. But I'm a parent. My kids went to Holmdel High School, and it gets dark here. We drove up here. It's dark already. We set the clock back. It's dark early and all that. So honestly, this is really a question for Mr. Zucker. I don't know if you're a parent. I assume you are, but I'm just going to ask you from my heart, and I'd like you to respond similarly. Look, I know when I leave here, if I make a left between here and your building, there's a telephone pole, and it has the jerseys of 3 young kids that were killed in an accident over here. I know my kids weren't good drivers when they started in Holmdel High School. They took the driver's ed, but they smacked. Sorry, sir, please, just let me ask you, because I'm asking you from your heart, as an honest person, to just speak to the issue, okay? You've told us the nature, and I listened in June, and the nature of this is to have, to attract attention of people going by, so drivers. We have deer running by, it gets dark early. My question for you is this. Why is it, I understand your commercial needs, why is this the right thing for Holmdel and the parents of kids who come out of the school? When we've seen what happened.
So now I'm a murderer? Is that your point? Is that your point?
Oh, no. Look, sir, I understand where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from, but there are I deal with a lot of forensic type of stuff. And there's many causes for car accidents and many causes for other types of accidents. I don't know whether it's this specific like a sign per se, but there's signs all over the place.
There's a lot of signs there now.
No. Look, if I just wanted to say something because I understand it's probably a very emotional topic for you, but there are flashing signs for construction sites, there's signs for billboards, there's light signs, there's flickering light signs, there's other things, there's a lot of things that could distract. The question here really is what they're doing, if it's going to benefit Holmdel, if they're doing anything that's going to be adversely effective to the neighboring properties or people like that, or if they're doing anything that's sort of out of the ordinary, things that may be, what's the right word? Well, safety. Look, the provision of,
The safety, I live in Holmdel, I'm a parent, I tell you, you got a lot of people here who are going to tell you that first and foremost is the safety of our kids, our adults, and listen, people get older in this community. My vision's not as good anymore. Anything that detracts from our safety is of concern, and I'm sorry if you don't see it that way, but the gentleman simply responded to my question by telling me now I'm a murderer. And I don't think that that's a reasonable response, and I think it reflects the fact that he can't answer the question.
I can answer the question. I'll answer the question. You asked me, am I concerned? Let me tell you, I'm not a professional. However, there are signs there today. Those signs are there. If, God forbid, somebody were to go off the road and hit it, there would be an accident. Those signs are there. All we're doing is making those signs actually a little bit more visible.
Are you suggesting we light the trees too, because they're on the side of the road?
See, that's why I didn't want to answer, because now we're getting into an argument and a debate. You don't have a question. You're trying to lay on guilt. I'm familiar with guilt. I'm Jewish. We have Jewish guilt. I'm used to it.
I'm sorry, sir, but your religion is not relevant.
This is not.
Everyone, let's calm down a second. Look, your question's been noted. I think we all know what you're trying to say here. Safety is of paramount importance to everyone on this board. It's my profession. I'm an engineer. Everything I do involves safety. Believe me, nothing's going to be done while I'm on this board that's going to somehow affect the safety of the people of this town or the traveling public. Okay? We can only make things reasonably safe. I mean, at what point and I'm not taking sides at this moment, just having a conversation with you, do we not allow Christmas trees with flashing lights in people's front yards because people look at decorations? I mean, where does it stop? The question here is what this gentleman is asking for is reasonable, and we're trying to take steps to make sure that what he does is going to minimize any risk to the traveling public to a manageable level, if any. So that's what we're all doing up here for that reason.
So, second question. Mr. Zucker, if I heard you correctly, and please, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong.
I will.
You said earlier, I know you will. So, you said earlier that during COVID, you had concerns about the commercial aspects of the business, and therefore you told your marketing group that they should go ahead and try and drum up business. And that, if I understood you correctly, that was the heart of the origin of changes in the lighting that the board, that the township is now objecting to. And what you said, if I heard you correctly,
once again, sir, is there a question?
I simply have to ask. I have to explain it. So what you said was, but we didn't go back and look at the variance. We didn't consider it. We didn't think about it. Well, if that's the case, why should the board have any confidence that what you're going to do now, you're going to pay any attention to this variance, given that you didn't pay any attention to it the last time by your own admission?
That's a good question. That's a good question, and I will answer that. If you find that we're doing something that is contrary to zoning, contrary to our approvals, you have every right and maybe an obligation to call the code enforcement officers and have them work with it. That's 100% true. What I said was, I apologized to the board. I said, we didn't sit here and review every single, we spent 5 years going through those approvals. We didn't remember every nuance. It is our opinion that we didn't violate it, and you heard that by our professionals. However, I said that if it's found that we violated it, we apologize, and we're going to make it better here tonight. We voluntarily agreed, even though it's not the subject of our application, to make the interior signs 90% better and 100% better after 10 o'clock at night. That was what I said. So I'm not here to ask you questions, but you mentioned your kids go to the high school.
Went to.
Do you know how many? And yes, I'm a parent of 7 kids and 16 grandkids. I also have a heart. I will tell you like this. We open up Bellworks to everybody. The high school kids come in and play basketball. They are there. We have come there and look at the schedule. There are leagues that are only for Holmdel children to come in and play. Do we say, well, hell, there's a liability? Maybe one of them is, God forbid, going to go and hit a sign and we're liable. No, we take out extra insurance so that the kids of Holmdel could play there for free. We accept risk upon ourselves to make the place better. There's a father and a daughter who come, and the daughter is I don't know the correct word. She's very handicapped and very challenged. She crawls on her internal grass, on her hands and knees. That's what she does. something that is a risk for us. She could get hurt. We have officers watching her that she shouldn't get hurt. We accept risk. We do that. That's what we all do every single day.
I just want to keep us on track here. Right?
Last question,
Okay.
which is really just for you, and I just don't know how this works, so I'm hoping you can inform me. So, another business, can they, if you agree to this signage, can someone else say, I don't know, Samaha, put up squash at $1.29 a pound in a 10-foot sign? Canonrush, eggs, $2 a dozen. I mean, is this not set precedent for other places within Holmdel?
No. That's why it's called a variance. Every situation that's not in compliance with the code will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Yeah.
Mr. Silverman, just for the board, just to remind everybody, this is a redevelopment plan that was prepared for this site to effectuate the rehabilitation of this historic building and to reuse it. It's a permitted use, obviously. Everything that's on the site is a permitted use. And so, it's been determined, over the years by the redevelopment plan, by the township committee, by this board, that this is, the purpose of this site is to provide a mixed-use development that will, provide an anchor for Holmdel's economy and also a gathering place, et cetera. So, I think when the board's evaluating this, the context to look at this is, how is not, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that what the board should determine is whether or not this variance is in effort of enhancing this permitted use, I should say, rather than, just something that, and I think they put testimony on the records describing why they need these or why they think they need these, but that's for you to evaluate in the context of this entire redevelopment plan and the existing use.
Thank you. Miss? To the mic, if you can, please.
Yeah.
Your name and address.
Robin Gronbeck, 23 Lennox Court in Regency. I have a question for Mr. Zuckerman. I'd just like to know, where do you live? I'm just curious.
Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant?
Why is it relevant?
Yes.
Like I said, I'd like to just, if you have a question about the signs and issues, okay, so let's keep it on point.
So where does this go when I feel that I have a beeline to that sign for my kitchen and my deck, okay? This is making me quite nauseous, even thinking about all the signage. We live in Holmdel. I may have to sell my house. Am I going to get what it's even worth once those signs start going up? And I don't even care about that.
Is this a question?
It isn't. You know what? You let him talk constantly. Nobody else can really say anything.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, quite frustrating.
The process can be quite frustrating, but the thing is they are allowed to talk because they're making the application, and you are permitted to ask questions right now that are specific. You will have an opportunity to make comments afterwards, but right now, this is about questions about the 3 lights on the road.
Well, again, my question is that I could feel like I have to move. And you know what?
Ma'am, that's not a question. Okay. Is there anyone else that has a question? All right, so at this time we will close questions, and we will just ask for comments. So, yes, but please keep it comments, no more questions at this time.
I was waiting. Thank you. Again, my name is Anthony Imperiali.
Oh, anyone who makes a comment, we have to swear in for the record. You swear to tell the whole truth, not what the truth of the record? Yes. Okay, just state and spell your name for the record.
Anthony Imperiali, Anthony, Imperiale. Again, I own 2 retail businesses in Bellworks, Mezzaluna Restaurant and Estrella Azul. It's a Mexican restaurant. If you don't know me from Bellworks, you know me from my Manalapan locations. I have Mezzaluna. I've been there for 25 years. Grew up there. Dishwasher, busboy. Started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Put everything I have into Bellworks, into building my restaurants. And like I said previously, before COVID, business was flourishing. It was unbelievable. I had lines out my door from open to close 5 days a week. I wish it was more days a week, if you guys would like to come in a little bit more, I could open a little bit more, absolutely. But again, once COVID hit, the entire landscape of office buildings changed. Now, like Ralph said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is when we really get the large crowds. But other than that, it's only for a few hours a week. So, like I said, I have the two restaurants in Manalapan, Mezzaluna and Estrella Azul. They are the original locations, and Bellworks was opened after that. Every day, I mean, I work 70 to 80 hours a week. Every day when I'm in the restaurants in Manalapan, all I get is, I hear you have another location. Where is it? And I try to explain to them where it is. And day in and day out, it's unsuccessful. And this is 10 to 15 minutes from Bellworks. I live in Marlboro, and my neighbors almost, it's not nearly as many people as I would like to know about Bellworks. And I just want to give a small example. When I opened up my second Mexican restaurant, or I'm sorry, the original one in Manalapan, we didn't have a sign up originally on the road, on Route 9, in Town Point Shopping Center. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar. And we were fielding questions of people saying, where is it? Where is it? We put the sign up on Route 9, and instantly people were finding us. And it seems so minute that a little sign would make such a difference, but it does. And it's, to myself, I was always saying, what's the big deal? And it made such a big difference. And as we stated several times, we're a business inside this very large complex without a sign. We don't have anything to tell people we're there. And all I'm asking is for just understanding from everybody on looking at every other business everywhere in the country. Everybody has an exterior sign, and that's just business. And we're just trying to survive, and this would help us immensely. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention earlier that we're going to try and keep comments. You were right at the mark, around 3 minutes. So if you can. Yes, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Patrick Trisquita, 56 Line Road. Could I have a secular swearing in, please?
Confirm what you're about to say, yes,
Yes, I do.
Just state your name.
Patrick Trisquita, Trischitta. 56 Line Road, Holmdel. Hi, I'm a 40-year resident of Holmdel and both the Bell Labs engineer for many years, as well as a Bell Labs retiree. Bell Labs made Holmdel what it is today. Ralph Zucker saved Holmdel's Bell Labs heritage by resurrecting the historic Bellworks from the ashes of the telecom meltdown. Bellworks should be allowed to advertise their retail tenants using modern LED lighting that was invented at Bell Labs. At the entrances of Crawford Corner Road and Middletown Road, these signs will be dimmed at night, at dark, to 10%, which the human eye can't tell the difference between 20% and 10%, and shut off at 10 p.m. Bellworks pays $6.1 million in pilot last year that benefited Holmdel to build a new firehouse and upgrade the first aid building. The planning board should approve these signs and let Ralph continue making Bellworks great for Holmdel. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, you can approach. Be sworn.
I do. Daniel Grossman, Grossman. I'm a retail tenant in Bellworks. Bell Wellness. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Dan Grossman. I own the multi-specialty medical group in Bellworks. I'm here in support of the application of Somerset. So I've been a tenant in Bellworks about 2 years now. I had a practice in Middletown about 27 years, which I still have. But I, came to fall in love with the building as most people have. And, initial understanding or intent was to open up in Bellworks and essentially to service most of the tenants in the building. COVID had their game plan for us all. And, I can attest, as others have, and then Ralph and others have mentioned, it's been pretty devastating for the retail tenants in the building since COVID came. A lot of these large companies like the iSIMs, of the 350,000 square foot iSIMs, there are days where there's 10 people in that office. And I treat many of them, so I kind of get a sense of what's going on in the building. And so I found that over the last couple of years, the overwhelming majority of my patient base comes from the community. And thank God it does. The majority are referrals and doctor referrals, patient referrals. And what we found is that, more surprisingly, I treat a number of people in the building, but I really treat the community. And I found it to be very, very shocking to me that I have patients in Middletown that come to my Middletown office that live in Holmdel. They have no clue. They never walked into Bellworks before. They certainly had no clue that I was there, let alone everything else that was in there. And so it, in a situation like this, and with, again, just to attest to some of the things that are said, exposure is so important, both for the retail tenants and for the community. So, I look around and I'm like, the vast majority of you probably don't know who I am and probably don't have any clue what I offer. But, if I were to say, okay, or if the community had an idea of, hey, wait a second, oh wow, if I hurt my knee, if I hurt my back, I can go to Bellworks. My kid can be in the library and I can go and get treatment. Most of you probably don't know that, but wouldn't it be great if the community knew that? And I'm just using myself, or the dentist, or any of the other retail tenants, which really make the fiber of this. And so it is so important, both for the retail and for the community, to be able to have an awareness to have that communication. And I think a sign, just having an understanding, driving by, you may not need treatment now, you may not need something right now, but in your head you're going, oh, you know what, I can actually go there, and I hurt my back, where do I go? Oh, that'd be nice to go there. So I'm just, and I'll be quick.
10-second warning, Dr. Grossman.
I'm sorry. I just, I'm trying to figure out. I'm reading this room, and I'm like, why is there such passions about a sign? What is this all about? There's clearly something more than a sign. And my observation, my argument is this: I think it's a concern from the residents that this sign is somehow going to be a detriment to the community. And I think there's a concern from Somerset and from Ralph to say, hey, look, I'm just doing this. I'm trying to help my people. I'm trying to help the people in the community in Bell. And I think
I need you to speed this up because
I just think at the end of the day, the intent is a good one. Ralph is not charging anybody anything. It's only for the benefit of the community. And I think the community can benefit in knowing what's in there, and I fully support it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes. I need that music at the Academy Awards. Yeah.
I do. Sal Mortorano, Martorano. Can I grab this?
You can grab it.
All right. 5 Lowry Lane in Marlboro, New Jersey. Myself and my wife are the owner of the Gathering Shops. I just wanted to address a couple of concerns that people had. One was the nice woman who said about this was a local road. These are local roads, and only Holmdel people were going to see that. That is true. But I live in Marlboro, and for 15 years, I've taken that road to go and commute to the boat. Half of the people I know pass through those roads to go to other places in the county. It is a local road, yes, but it's used a lot by us. And if by chance just one customer a week can see that the gathering shops is there, and I get one customer a week, it'll help. I've been there since 2020, and I thought things were going to get a lot better, but right now, things are so tough. And to answer the gentleman who asked, have we exhausted everything else? They have exhausted everything else. This is maybe number 20 in one of the things that they've chose to do to help us out. So if I can get one customer a week, it really helps me, because if I don't start getting some of these customers, and Holmdel people have been great to us, but if we don't start getting people outside of the community, I'm not going to be one of the 15 seconds much longer. It's just the way it is. It's so tough right now that even one customer a week can change the difference between me staying at Bellworks or me not being at Bellworks. It's tough. And I understand what you people want, and I get it. The safety. I have 3 kids that live in this area. But I think they've mitigated that with making the sign static at nighttime, with not making it move, checking the looms. We all drive around. And I would think, and I pass that every time, I don't think I will see that sign change one time in the 15 seconds. It'll be static for me, and probably static for almost everyone who passes it. So I do get it, but I think you should also understand, and I feel for you, but also feel for the fact that the people in that building don't have the ability to put a sign on Route 9, don't have the ability to do that. And it would be really appreciated by the people in the retail if that really came up there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alan Bronstein. I do. Alan Bronstein. I live at 24 Stratford Lane in Holmdel. Moved here about 3 years ago. Not sure which way I should at the border.
Whatever which way you want to look is fine with us.
At this group that has been here for tonight for about 3 hours and has not had the ability to say much. About a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, for about 4 hours and didn't have an opportunity to say much. And it really appears that the speakers before me feel that there's these 2 signs that are going to be on Crawford Corner Lane are going to be a lifeline, and it's going to change things for them. Well, I'm a retailer, and I have retail stores, and things are not so good right now. And they weren't good during COVID as well. And it's true. You know, people are not going back into the office, and I have some of my employees that spend most of the day out of their home doing their jobs because things have changed. I'm not quite so sure that putting a sign that isn't static in front of a community of 400 homeowners that spend quite a bit of money for their homes and pay a great deal of taxes to this community is going to change things. If it truly is a guarantee, what happened with the signs that you've done already? Why didn't they change things already for everybody that's there? I mean, they've created some havoc for the people that live in the community that aren't happy about them, but they haven't changed anything by having those 4 signs there with all the light tests we've done and whatever. You know, no question, I think everybody will agree that these signs are not going to enhance the value of our community. And if value is the only situation, then I guess that's maybe not good enough for the planning board to consider. But I did a little research, and I'm going to quote just a couple of things that came up on the internet. It's pretty easy these days to do some research. And in a study done by Holmdel, Van Loon, and Underwood, it was determined that street-level advertising was more distracting than raised signs. And these signs are at street level. And yes, one of our community members indicated, you know, that Crawford Corner is a pretty dark street. And it is, you know, on a curve. And it does, you know, there's no doubt that it will be extremely distracting to the drivers that are coming in. And the only reason that you put up a sign, an illuminated sign, that changes messages is to distract the driver to see the message. So let's not, for 1 minute, not remember that there was a reason that you're calling for a variance here. You know, it was determined at one point that it shouldn't have been done. So why should it be done now?
We have
Comments that were made. One last sentence, if you'll let me.
Sure.
This was a statement made by the Dutchess County Federation, and their comment was, municipalities must decide what is more important, the benefit to the digital sign owner or the safety and visual quality of the community. So that decision is yours, Planning Board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have something to say, sir? You have something to say, sir?
First off. Oh. Yeah, Peter, Maneri, 59 Bethany Road. First off, you've done a beautiful job with the building, and nobody here is disputing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maneri, Maneri. I'm just going to read something that I happen to be on the Holmdel Historical Society, so this is where some of this is coming from. And somebody else also brought up the fact, and I don't know about Pandora's box, but now going back to the board, the question is, you've answered it slightly. Now we're going to have illuminated signs all across Main Street in Holmdel Funeral Parlor, the new auto body on 34 and those restaurants, but be that as it may, I'm here to speak about the LED lighting at Bellworks. Aaron Swearin is a celebrated architect known for his iconic design, including Bellworks, the TWA building at Kennedy Airport, and the St. Louis Arch, to name a few. His design philosophy was characterized by the idea of making a powerful architectural statement while integrating it with the surroundings. That's the community. The manner at hand is an installation of LED signage, which is in contrast to Saren's principles. He designed it to be, it's designed to be grabbing and highly visible, not blending seamlessly into the surroundings. Let's face it, we all moved to Holmdel for the beautiful community. The Bell Labs building, the tower, its landscape grounds have achieved the status of National Historic Site. The designation entails specific restrictions and guidelines, and hopefully the town has done its part to abide by those. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. The proposed LED signage is opposed to Saren's design. Instead of allowing the building to blend into its surroundings, it demands attention and detracts from the historical look that Saren aimed to achieve. The stewardship of the historical site now lies with Holmdel Township and Somerset Development. Their collective responsibility is to preserve its architectural significance. Previous decisions such as retirement for the berm in front, path lights downward, lighting Bellworks and parking lot were made to ensure the lighting did not detract from the building's full view and Saren's original lighting. I'm wrapping it up. The historical importance of the lighting is to impact on the building's aesthetics that have been considered in prior deliberations. The proposed LED signage threatens to undermine the efforts invested in maintaining the site's understandable historical values. Thank you. Thank you.
That was my 3-minute alarm. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
That's all right. You did great. You did great. You don't have to be nervous. You're all good.
But it's about the character and the lighting on these roads and the signage. If you guys approve this, the rest of the Holmdel community.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Through the chair, am I allowed to comment on that? Am I allowed to comment on that? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me okay? Diane Devine, 47 Stratford Lane, Holmdel. Okay, I do. Can you say it again? Diane Devine, 47 Stratford Lane, Holmdel. Okay. Peter is president of the Historical Society, as you know, in our town. And we were talking about the historic nature. I may just reiterate a little bit of what he had just said. And one of the things that was brought up was there's a berm, okay? And the reason for the berm was required in front of the pathway. I'm shaking. On the green that joins East Regency to West was to shield the light from sight so as not to detract from the full view of the building.
Yeah, it's hard to hear. You got to use your mic. So.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so when you go from the east side to the west side, over on in front of the building, there are pathway lights. This is a historical building that is part of the National Registry. Okay, one of the reasons that berm was put there was basically so when you stood on Crawford Corner Road, you don't see the lights, and the lights don't interfere with the beautiful building, which is on the National Registry. There were other things that had happened years ago, and one of them was the Township Committee had also required the lights in the Bellworks parking lot to be downward cast, avoiding the unwanted increase of light and light scatter to maintain Serene's original lighting aesthetic and concept, not detracting from or reflecting off of the mirrored facade, but instead, in the evening, having the building emit its glow of light from within. These signs would undo all the work put into making sure this beautiful historic landmark maintains its outstanding, low-key appearance and historic aesthetics. There's also the very evident environmental. The quality of light emitted from the proposed signage is incongruent with Holmdel's no light trespass and no light pollution preference. Unfortunately, we are already experiencing discomfort and potential danger associated with light trespass, light pollution, and glare from the 4 smaller LED advertising lights along Bel Air Road. And another question is, has anybody looked at what it's going to do to the current homeowners that can see those signs from their home and their back deck? How is that going to affect their lives now that they're larger, lighter, colorful, and changing every 15 seconds? We're probably going to have the same issues as the Jansky people. So the question I asked, would the township consider placing LED signage in front of the horn, advertising with an ever-changing rotation and series of the daily events in Holmdel Township? Would that be appropriate? Is it appropriate where they want to put these now? And then there's the safety concern, the level of distractibility, taking people's focus off the road with the intense, ever-changing light on these signs that rotate through a series of seconds. Way too small to read presentations, negatively impacting our concentration in a fashion that negatively affects our night vision. There is an issue, and hopefully we do have an eye doctor here who can address the issue of what happens at night to peripheral vision, especially to seniors. Okay? Anyhow, so let me just to summarize. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's environmentally inappropriate in a place where people live. I think historically it's out of character with a recognized national historic site. It's such a beautiful building. You look at it now at night, and you look at those 4 signs going along Jansky, and it just detracts from Serene's. I mean, people fix getting every building.
Okay.
We've got to pray. And I also think it's a hazardous safety issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, you have a comment? It's generally one because otherwise you come up here 30 times, maybe. Be here for 3 hours. She made a question. Now she's making a comment. Yes.
Chong-Yin Liu, CHIUNG -YIN, last name LIU, 3 Seven Oaks Drive. I mentioned I do have some photos. I living in that section between east and west entrance of on that Crawford Corner Road. Oh, I put it together. Actually, two. So what should I do? All right.
You have to describe, if we're going to take those.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. One is a photo for the lighting. Oh, I dated there a time. From April 24, 23rd until June 19. There's a various days, different time I took. All right, so but lighting is so important. The one of the section, you got it? Area is I took it from my footstep front door on the stairs. You can see the current. The current static signage there, and you can see the light. And the rest of thing I took is from my side into the laboratory road where the 4 existing LD signs. So you can see the day and time I took. So in general, people won't see those lights since I'm living there, so I could see that every day. So I brought it to your attention. And the second set is a road. So I keep mentioning that a few times, how dangerous on that entrance between two. There's a deer warning sign. There's a curve road warning signs, and also I make it very clear how it curves. If you want to see the road, it's very hard to see the sign. You want to see the sign, you want to pay attention on the road condition. So that is what I worry about. Yeah, and also the other side is the across street from that from the Bellworks property is Green Acre. So, which means there's a lot of animals right in there, and that's right in my backyard. They run onto the road a lot. So it's very dangerous in that if you put more signage, LED, and colorful, I'm not quite sure how many animals are going to come up to see those beautiful signs. Right? Any question for me about those photos?
You're here to make your comments. We're not here to answer or ask questions.
What I stand for. So honorable members, we understand to support small business is necessary. However, the safety of every life on Rose Curly Road section is very important. And the quality of life with this area's residents needs to be respected. We strongly believe Rose Retailer signage should not be up on those entrances. They should not receive the variances and the waiver relief. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, speak in the mic.
Maybe I should have been up when there was a question, but I have a concern. I think we're all concerned about having retail people here succeed, because we all love it here. As residents, my friends, we all love it here, and we're happy to have you in retail. My concern is this going to make a difference, this type of signage? When they say that there's signage on Route 9 and there's a sign that says so-and-so restaurant, you see it, you go into it, what do you think about it? When I pass the sign, I see Barbella a lot, that's about all I see. But I don't know there's PT there, I don't know there's medical clinic, I don't know
That's
that.
probably what they say.
But I
Well,
mean,
just let her speak, yeah.
15 seconds, a bite. I'm not sure that makes a difference, great, but I'm not sure it's going to make a difference. That's what I'd like to know.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it's just the comment. Sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It's Colleen Anderson. It's spelled K-A-L-E-E-N. Hi. I just wanted to introduce myself to the face to another Bellworks retailer. I opened in Bellworks about 6 months ago. I'm very new. I started at the markets every Wednesday. I live in North Jersey, so I literally commute an hour and a half, 7 days a week to come to this beautiful building because I believe in the potential and I fell in love with it. For 3 years, I literally set up, dragged my wagon to the markets and built my business in this building. That being said, to answer the previous question, if one retailer pops up on that sign, it helps every single one of us. Mezzaluna not being open 7 days a week hurts my business that is open on a Saturday. Because I get people that come inside and they're like, we can't eat, we can't spend the day here, like, we're not going to stay. So therefore, if one business is seen on that sign, it helps every single business in that building because it brings people in and creates that ecosystem and community that we need to survive. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Let's just swear you in. Yes. Into the mic. Into the mic.
Joy Luciani. Luciani. 10 Country Spire Lane in Holmdel. Just briefly speak. There's a lot of good things going on in Bellworks, and I know how their retailers feel. I'm concerned about the location. The street that the signs would be on is traveled mostly by locals. It's not a through street by a lot of other people, so the locals all know about it. They do. And we need to attract so we can help the retailers more, to generate more business, people from other areas. I really do think that, and I know you said this before, but please listen. The sign, having a sign on a main highway would be great to attract more attention and generate more business from other areas. I also think that the marketing has a lot to do with it. After our first meeting, I received a card, and it was trying to promote Bellworks. But it wasn't very, I have to say this honestly, and I'm trying not to be critical, but it didn't attract my attention. It didn't say what was there. So it was just a card that I would throw away and not come to the place because I wasn't excited about it. I think the marketing would help you out if you improved your marketing. And I also think that if there were more events at Bellworks, that would maybe help you out. If there were like a certain night and that people would hand out samples, etc. But it has to be advertised. Well, one man brought up his restaurant. I might be jumping around, and he said that people didn't know the restaurant at Bellworks. But it's just sometimes it's thinking out of the box and just putting a sign up. We have another restaurant at Bellworks. Please join us. And I don't mean to be critical or make it simple, but I'm just trying to help. I don't think the signs where local people are going all the time are going to really help generate the business that this place needs to succeed. Thank you very much.
Okay. That was perfect. That was perfect. It was 3 minutes exactly. Good job. Good job. Good job. There you go.
We got one more?
We got one more? Okay.
John Devine, 47 Stratford Lane. So, I was standing on the porch of number 51 Stratford Lane, which faces directly towards the sign on Crawford's Corner Road. In my opinion, the light would shine in to their dining room and probably living room. And one of the provisions in the statutes, I believe, is that light from signs shall not shine into someone's residence. So I would suggest that board members go do the same thing I did, particularly at night. Number 51 Stratford, look at the sign, see where the light shines, and just think of what it would be with the LED signs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, come on up. You got to go to the mic, miss.
I'm sorry. I think it's about a quality of life. I'm living in Holmdel, and it's totally about retail. Like I said, I did it for years. But I think that Mr. Zucker has always looked in his bedroom window every night, after 10 o'clock at night. This is very frustrating. This is at the East 10%, and this is my neighbor. So I'm all about you keeping your silence. I just don't understand when you do testimony. Because it's expensive. I sleep. I have to buy expensive drinks to keep the lighting out, no matter whether it's 100 or 10%. So I just want to know what my quality of life is every other resident.
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Bob Lyons. I live at 6 Lenox Court. And so my comment is, first, to Mr. Zucker, thank you very much. You're a visionary. And my first job out of school was in Bell Labs, and I met my wife there. And I love
Sorry to hear that.
I love working there every day. She's not here. Thanks, Elisa.
Sorry. Oh, no, I feel bad.
And I want to let you, you probably already know this, but our community, Regency at Holmdel, we go to a lot of effort to get business into Bellworks. The social committee, the board, and myself and the tech admin, we post a lot of advertisements. Monthly calendar, special events that come up, and we're happy to do that. And if there's other things that we can do to help, we'd be very interested. The lights, I see them as a safety issue. So I walk down 7 Oaks, where Miss Lou lives, have to cross Crawford's Corner Road, and it's nerve-wracking. You know, I can still move quickly because I'm not yet in my 80s, but you have to be really careful. You have to be very patient and wait until it's finally reasonably safe to dash across the road, because there's people going faster than the speed limit. And if there's a sign there, it's there to be read. Like if someone, oh, I haven't seen this one yet, and now their attention is shifted to that, and they're reading this sign, they're not looking at me. They're not looking at someone older than me trying to cross the street. They're not looking at a high school kid trying to cross the street to get to the library. And the reason it's nerve-wracking crossing is because it's curvy, as Mrs. Liu said earlier. If it was a straight run, you'd be able to see very far away. There's no cars in either direction. That's not the case. You're almost making a gamble that the next car coming around the curve is not going 70 miles an hour, because you're counting on them going a reasonable speed, so that if you're just seeing them as you're stepping into the road, you're reasonably confident you'll get across the street safely. And then with signs there, it would just make it less safe, in my opinion. Myself, I consider myself a kind of a safety fanatic. My wife once put some photos on the stairwell going down, and I convinced her to remove them because, you know, you're looking at the photos going down the stairs, you're less likely to go down the stairs safely. It's the same thing here. The big, bright, enticing sign that's meant to be looked at, meant to be read, you're less likely to see a bicyclist, a pedestrian, or another car that has maybe swerved a bit into your lane. You're just less likely to see it. It just seems common sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, miss.
I do. Janet Nisi, NICI, 7 Country Squire Lane, Holmdel, New Jersey. First off, I really do love Bell Works. I worked at Bell Labs also, and I'm really happy how it's taken off. And I am sad. I do empathize with the retailers because I see the traffic that's there. I'm there quite a few times during the week, every week. However, as a Holmdel resident, and I've been living here 29 years, I'm very concerned with the safety and also the character of the area. I remember when Bell Labs was there and how important it was to worry about the traffic and everything like that. I also feel that there's a safety issue. I think it will be distracting. Any kind of a big sign with up to possibly 30 things on. And as you're driving down there and you can be going like 40, 45 miles an hour, it can just catch your eye, and it can be a problem. I think if I bought a one of those over 55s at Bell Works, I would be very, very, very upset. I would feel that it's an infringement on my living. So I think it's a disservice to Holmdel residents for a sign. I do feel that there should be more advertising. I'm not into marketing. I don't know, but I just feel that there must be a better way to continue marketing this place without having the sign that could be very distracting on Crawford's Corner Road.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. One more. Let's go. Come on up. Come on up. Looks like Price is Right. Hello, miss. Hello, miss.
My name is Barbara Matusak, Matusak, 68 Telegraph Hill Road, Holmdel. I'm a resident here for 42 years. All my children went through the school system. I'm also in marketing. I'm retired now, so. But I do want to say
I think Bellworks is absolutely fabulous. I met you years ago at a ICSC convention, actually probably 20 years ago. But anyway, there's other ways to bring traffic into the retail area, and that's what we're really talking about. I don't really think it's about a sign. I think that there's ways. You just said you had a charity event for cancer. Why didn't we see it in the Two River Times as editorial? Publicity. In other words, press releases. There's other ways to do it. You sent out one mailer, a coupon mailer, and we all saw it once. What's once? Coca-Cola didn't do their message once. You were saying the exact same thing. You're saying you got to keep seeing it and seeing it. So I think that that's what's remiss at this point. I think you just need a good marketing program. And I do worry about the retailers. And I've been representing retailers for years. And it's a hard spot to really be in. It really is. I really feel for you. Okay, but a sign outside isn't going to do it. You need more than that. Nobody wants a merchants association. I know that. I work for developers also, and they're not looking for that, but they do need traffic. So, I don't want to see this die either. I love it over there. So that's my 2 cents.
Anyone else? If not, I'm going to close public comments for now. Okay, let's close public comments for now. So, Kate and Bob, anything to add at this point before we start discussing?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, do we have an opportunity to kind of sum up?
Summation,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mike?
Defer to your client.
I'm going to defer to my client.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Take it off your
Take it off your bill.
Just keep it to a
No, that's enough. No, I'm going to do it now.
Just keep it to a summation.
I'll keep it to
It's not
summation.
a second bite at the apple.
Absolutely. I just want to remind the board what's at stake over here. I really was encouraged by everybody, a lot of people saying that they appreciate what we've done, and we appreciate your saying that. I know it doesn't come easy when you're here to oppose something, so we appreciate that. And, a lot of mention was made that this is on the National Register of Historic Places, and we're here to keep it on the National Register. We voluntarily put it on the National Register. We had to fight for 2 years at Washington to put it on the register. When we came to Holmdel, the Holmdel Township position was to knock it down. Holmdel Township put out a plan that wanted to knock the building down, and we saved it. So I want to remind everybody, we are the champions of Eros Saarinen vision. We are the people here to save it. And I want to tell you, the board and everybody here, you're faced with a choice. We don't have Coca-Cola's marketing budget. Our retailers don't have that budget. As much as you see Bellworks is huge, every day is a struggle. We are here at a crossroads. The board can vote to save what we've all done collectively since 2008, to save this building, to create this place that so many of you have said that you enjoy and appreciate and want to have survive. You have a choice. An ecosystem is very fragile. An ecosystem, if you take its smallest component, the smallest tadpole, down the road, the entire ecosystem will collapse. This is an ecosystem. Our retailers need to survive. They're mom and pop shops, they're your neighbors, and we're here to try to help them. If they do not survive, Bellworks will not survive. It's as simple as that. So the board, I just want to sum up, the board has a choice. You can vote for saving what we've done, for enhancing what we've done, for helping our retailers so that the 6.1, 6.2, and soon to be $7 and $8 million in ratables continue to flow. So this is a place where businesses still want to come to, or slowly but surely, as leases come up and leases come due, people are going to say, I have no reason to come here anymore. I'm going to renew elsewhere, or I'm just going to work from home. This is the choice that you're faced with. There are a lot of concerns, but the bottom line is this is a vote to save Bellworks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zucker. So
board comments if they want to make. And after that, you'll go to entertain a motion.
So I guess before we go to a motion, we'll go to board comments if anyone wants to say anything about the testimony, the comments, about the proposed plans. So now's the time. So Wes, give you the floor if you'd like to say something.
Well, I usually am good to say something. I'm concerned about the discrepancy between what our ordinance says versus what the applicant thinks it says. I think that given the advancements in technology, I think our ordinance could use some cleaning up. I think the spirit of our ordinance was not to allow flashy signs. I'm encouraged by the attendance of the residents. I'm a little bit surprised at their disagreement with the applicant, but that's what this is about. I think the signs are commercial in nature rather than informational. I think that the safety of that particular stretch of road is a concern to me. I think these signs would provide a distraction precisely where traffic demands focus. I think there's some potential to change the signage of the existing black sign that's out there now, keeping with the same kind of illumination of it, but be more public welcome in bigger letters than it is right now. And further, I think that the components of the roadway there could use some enhancements. It's a little bit tricky to make turns coming either way on Crawford's Corner, and I think that could use some enhancements. Thank you.
Bill, you have something to say?
Okay,
I do have stuff to say. First, let me first say here, I appreciate everyone's time. I know it's a long day for a lot of us here, and I appreciate your comments and your questions. And believe me, they're all been processed in my brain, so I've been listening to what everyone has to say. But first, before I get into it, I want to say our job here on the planning board is not to discuss Mr. Zucker's marketing plan. We're not here to figure out if mailers are the right way to do things. We're here to discuss if he should have a blimp or anything of those lines. We're here to discuss whether these signs are going to be are within compliance with the regulations in the codes, are not going to be a detriment to our community, and we look at Bellworks like we would look at any one of your homes. Just like if a neighbor wants to put up something in his backyard that may adversely affect your property or your quality of life. So we don't take it lightly. And when it comes to safety, for anyone to talk about safety, like that's not the most important thing that we all think about, is kind of ludicrous, because that's all we do is think about safety. We think about your safety, your kids' safety, your grandkids' safety. We can talk about roadway accidents all day long. We have a policeman right here who talk about all the things on roads without signs, where people have had accidents because they're texting or tweeting or drinking coffee in their cars. So what's that? Or doing makeup. Yeah, thank you. So the question in my mind really is, is this sign really that offensive? Now, we have our planners' interpretation of the codes, and we have Mr. Zucker's planner's interpretation of the codes. To be honest, I personally don't think it's a flashing sign. I understand that it's not a sign from Las Vegas, which is saying, come gamble and glittering and it's not moving. That's my interpretation of the code. I believe that if you put a sign up that didn't change every 15 seconds, you could do so at higher elevations of light, possibly. If these areas where these curves are such a concern to the community, where there's dangers and maybe there's traffic control devices we can install, speed cameras or other things like that, if people are so concerned with safety. Because if someone's driving 70 miles an hour around that curve, I don't care if there's a sign there that could hit a deer. There's a lot of reasons people could crash their cars.
So the question
in my mind is really what they're asking for, whether it's really unreasonable.
Now, yes,
it's true. I don't have a house right next to the signs.
But I try to
put myself in a position of people who do live next to the house, next to those roadway signs.
And it's not an
easy thing for us up here to decide because we're not affected. But I like to think that I would
make my decision
regardless whether I live there or not, because I'm trying to act to what's the best interest of this town
and its residents.
So
I touched
upon it before. I think Christmas lights. I'm more distracted by Christmas lights in the holiday season than I would be by these signs. And so I really don't know what personally the big issue is here with the signs.
I think they've made
accommodations, and I think they're trying to accommodate those residents who are affected by the interior signs as well, to try and lessen the impact on their properties. I think they're trying to turn off the signs at 10 o'clock to make certain people happy. I'm sure if the signs are up and it becomes a problem, based on what I'm hearing, I'm sure Mr. Zucker would probably even put up a bush or two if he could to block any kind of light that might affect people.
But he does
have a right, just like anyone, I think here has a right to do what's within the codes on their property. So that's my take on it.
It's tough. Both sides have very compelling arguments, and I look at the idea of maintaining the bucolic nature of this town. There's a reason most of us are here, because we enjoy the beauty of the town and we want to maintain that. These signs do change it. But there's also a compelling argument that's made by Mr. Zucker and those who testified that, it's a mixed-use property. He has made accommodations to decrease the lighting on the interior signs, which very much appreciated. So it is. I'm actually very torn, but I'm hearing an overwhelming expression from the residents that the bucolic nature of this town is so very important. And at this point in time, I'm seeing that as overriding the other arguments. Not to say, as time passes and I understand the importance of supporting those businesses in Bell Works, and we want nothing more than for Bell Works to thrive. It's a wonderful, wonderful place, and it's a downtown. And maybe sometime in the near future, something will change. I understand technology changes. Hey, maybe before we know it, every sign we see is going to be similar to what's being suggested here. But it's tough, and I think at this point, between the idea of in keeping with the master plan, the bucolic nature of the town, and arguments regarding safety. I do believe that it is something that's going to catch your eye, and it is meant to catch your eye. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. And that too, because we're a family town. And majority of folks here have either had young drivers, will have young drivers. It is something of a concern in the location of where it is. So at this point, I'm not pushed over the edge of saying yes to allow it.
Mr. King?
Many years ago, the planning board was involved in negotiation.
We'll just turn on the brand. You gotta hold it down, Tom.
Many years ago, the planning board was involved in negotiations with the development of Bell Works. There were many items that were discussed. One of those items was the signs. We discussed where they would be placed, how they would be, what would be written on them, how many there would be, and the type. The type of signs being proposed tonight was a big no-no. Reason being the board wanted Holmdel to be perceived as a rural community. If you take the proposed signs and they are placed along Crawford's Corner Road, a main thoroughfare through Holmdel, this would contradict what we're trying to accomplish as a community. Thank you.
Well, we could still discuss. Yeah. Okay. Look. Obviously, everyone's got their own opinion here. We live in a world that continually evolves and changes. If you have a community that has old homes and that nice, charming, old world Virginia kind of feel, and you start building new homes, it changes the makeup of the town. We do need to adapt and grow. Personally, I think Bell Works is a very important centerpiece of this town. I think it has huge potential, but we need to somehow consider the residents, the tenants in that building. They have to be able to attract people. I personally throw out mailers. I don't even look at them. But I think they had, Kate, correct me if I'm wrong, but if this sign didn't flash, we wouldn't be discussing this, right? It's not a variance, though.
I have to take a look at the resolution.
Right.
But yeah, the applicant initial in 2017 applied for a variance for LED signs.
To move, right.
So that's why we are reapplying that variance now. But, I wasn't there in 2017, I just went off the resolution.
But I'm saying if this was a sign that didn't move, because I think the real debate here really is whether this sign is a flashing or moving type of sign. And if the sign didn't move, it would be a moot point, right?
That's what I'm trying to understand.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Because if we... Is that not true?
I'm asking my
planner.
We're waiting for the planner to comment.
Because they have a sign there.
It's not, please.
The applicant previously received a couple variances in 2017. Those related to allowing LED signs, related to, the size of the directional signs, etc. So, the redevelopment plan as written has it's very narrow in scope as to what it permits.
Okay.
So that I think is where, LED signs they're not mentioned in the redevelopment plan, and I think that it points in the past, at least the reading has been that because that they're not permitted.
Right. So if he had a sign there now that said Bell Works, but it was an advertisement for Mezzaluna, but it was just there all the time, that would be a non-issue.
The past resolution contains certain items that are that describe that. But in terms of a variance, I don't think it would be a variance. It may not be in conformance with the past resolution, but it may not be a variance.
Right. They may need amended site plan or relief from a prior condition.
Yes.
So there may be still some relief that's needed.
Right.
Yes, I believe that any kind of material change to the signs on this site because of the condition of the redevelopment plan would require planning board amended approval. But you may not be weighing the pros and cons. You may not have to do the same balancing test as you do with the variance.
Excuse me, Kate. Part of that resolution 2017-4, while it approved the LED display, the signs were not to be visible from any adjacent roadway. Is that right? So
That's not correct.
that's not true. SP 2017-4 approved LED display signs, but they were not to be visible from adjacent roadways.
Not these signs. The signs were put on adjacent.
So, I mean, Mr. Chairman, if
So your comment was they can just put up a sign?
No, yeah.
Give her 2 minutes to read it.
Which condition is this?
SP 2017-4.
I know, I have the resolution.
About not being visible from adjacent roadways.
What page are you reading? Can you read the Kate's letter?
This is Kate's letter.
Better.
Page 3, line 1.
That's not the condition, that's not a condition, that's just my own language, and that should have said adjacent roadways outside of the Bellworks development. That's not from the resolution.
Yeah, so if we're changing the sign on Middletown Road and it's seeable, visible from Seven Oaks or Catbird Alley, that's adjacent roadways.
Yeah, that's essentially this is my own comment, and basically what I'm saying here, and and to be honest, I wrote this letter, 5 months ago now. It was prior to the residents of members of the public coming out, etc. And what this is saying, and this is basically the terms from the prior resolution, were that the board did approve a limited amount of LED/LCD signs, which at the time were intended to be internal, not external. And by external, I mean the main entrances. And, that does not, then you have to take into account whether, is Jansky Drive, is Stratford, how are those roads contemplated in this? But that was really just talking about what was approved previously. I don't believe that language is in the...
And I'm reading the old resolution, it's not a specific condition, that language.
Yes, what it's saying is that resolution approved signs next to the building, the main Bellworks building, and on the internal roadways as a point of comparison to the new LED signs that were being proposed at the main entrances, aka external roadways.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
We're just thinking final comments.
We've heard a lot of comments tonight, and we're wondering if we could carry this application to see if we can address some of these. It's our application to request.
Well, look, I will say this. The thing is, in my experience, everyone seems to use safety as a catch-all phrase when they want something. A goal that they want to achieve. Oh, it's for under the guise of safety. Safety. I mean, we could walk around wrapped in bubble wrap. Ma'am, I'm getting to that. But putting aside the safety issue, there is a quality of life issue, a quality of enjoyable life. Will these lights affect neighboring properties? Will it affect their quality of life? Like that young lady there who has the light shining in her backyard. I drove Bellworks where these 3 new signs are proposed. I personally did not see any residences that I thought would be adversely affected by the lights. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't live there, so I'm not as taking it as personal as them. So if we do want to carry it forward, and we could just look at the quality of life of the neighboring properties to see the sight lines, if it really affects their house or things that we could do.
Mr. Chairman, we heard what the comments are. There may be ways that we can address them and mitigate them more. And it's our application. It's improper for them to be screaming from the background.
Yes, I ask everyone to please be quiet.
And we would like an opportunity to see if we can try to further mitigate the comments that we heard. It's just carrying it for 1 month, and that's the request.
Yeah. We're done with testimony, but you can...
Well, look,
It's a reasonable request.
Yeah.
Testimony's done.
All right, so does anyone want to make a motion? Oh,
Show of hands if they want to entertain that request.
Oh.
That's not a motion.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Just carry it.
All right, show of hands who are okay with, how would you say this? Carry it to the next meeting so they can address the,
It wouldn't be the next meeting.
wouldn't be the next one?
We have December 5th.
Well,
Folks,
let's just see if they want to do it first.
my question with that, if it is carried and testimony is closed, why would it be carried?
Only if you want to allow them to further mitigate, to try to further mitigate and present further amended plans. But at this point, you don't have to, testimony's closed.
So at that point, we would be opening testimony back up because
I
they'd be
assume, 'cause
presenting
they're not gonna come back with
plans.
the same,
And if we said no, they would be permitted to file a brand new application.
you say no to this, they cannot file this application again. If it's substantially different, they're allowed to, whatever, that's not defined.
Okay.
It's how this board determines it. But they could file something that's different.
Okay, so if, I'm just trying to think procedurally, if they were permitted to come back and we said no, if they had something different, they'd be just filing a new application and we kind of be
File
back.
everything and do all that
Okay.
stuff. So if there's any desire of this board to hear them, it's obviously more efficient to adjourn. If you're not prepared to do that,
And we could say that if we don't, there are still no obligation to honor the concessions on the interior of the.
that's correct.
That's right.
That's correct.
So,
That's only,
don't say
it's
that.
only if you approve
Right.
those conditions.
right.
So I would still suggest show of hands if there's a willingness of the board to allow them to come back if they can further mitigate. If that doesn't pass, you just go to a vote.
See, to me, if there's no quality of life issue to the adjoining property owners, I think it's a non-issue in my mind. So, show of hands to carry forward?
Willingness to carry.
No reason, so you're no? So that, no, okay, well, I'd be,
Yes?
Procedurally, I would carry, I would be willing for it to be carried.
okay.
So we go to a vote.
So we go to a vote. Who's that? Oh. So we have,
Yeah, I need a motion.
yeah, I need a motion to, what do we say?
To approve.
To approve or deny the application. Can I make a motion?
I mean,
I'll make a motion to approve it
with the condition.
with the
that we-
condition that we mentioned earlier.
Miss Mountain?
I just want to make sure I understand what we're voting on. We're voting on whether to accept or deny the application with the condition of them being able to reopen it? Or I mean, to carry it?
No, this is a motion to approve the plans for the signs with the concessions of reducing it to 90% after dusk and to make them static after 10 p.m. except for those 10.
And those 10 those 10 special events, it's not past 12.
And also then all the interior lights would be covered by those same restrictions.
Okay, no.
Mr. Fagan?
No.
No.
Mr. Castaning?
Yes.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Silberman?
Yes.
Yes.
So now you should do a motion to deny.
You get denied.
Somebody should make a motion to deny.
3 to 2.
I would just do it for the record. Just make a second motion to deny.
Okay, so
You don't really have to, but I like to just.
second motion to deny.
Yep.
Did you make a motion, Kim?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Castning?
No.
Mr. King?
A yes is to deny. No. Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
No.
Application's denied.
Don't say anything.
All right, that concludes this meeting. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I guess item 3, the meeting minutes. That's it. There's nothing there. So what do we do now? Motion to adjourn. Second.
Second.
Yes, it was denied. Yeah, adjourned. Yeah, motion adjourned.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Here she comes.